We're starting again at 74, right?
Yeah.
All right, so when I move and Billy gets up here, then you move to the production chair, right? There's a dapper one right there. Made it back. I do like that. I do like that square.
Test one, test, 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 test.
Drexel. All right. That was a race and celebrate this third NCAA title. Is this?
Test, test.
Good luck, guys. Got a lot of good stuff. Maybe I'll take it home and put it out there. You might have a camera. You guys can be here all night. I might get a camera guy down here. I got a pump because I got here. I'll be back here. Room for
Test one, test one.
For me, it's all that last few minutes before I go off. It was just about confidence and reassuring myself that I'm fast.
Sit right here with takedown.
You sit right here with takedown.
Well, takedown.
You can be a cradle gear guy. Right here, takedown. Danny, put him on the shelf.
I tried to. He said no.
Rocco, sit down right here. You can be a cradle gear guy.
He said no.
Right here.
No, somebody else
Right
was
here.
here, man.
Oh, sit here then.
No, it was Scott. It was Scott.
Scott will get up for you. Sit down right here.
Scott, no. Listen,
Rocco.
I told him. I
Rock
know
City,
Scott.
sit down.
I know. I said I was giving.
down.
Unless I'm paying the bill, Scott's not good.
Sit down.
I wanted to give.
I'm paying the bill. Sit down.
I wanted to give him my
Danny,
headset.
this is what I talk about every time we kill this.
Rock City, sit
I'm
down.
gonna sit down.
Scott will let you sit down.
I'm gonna sit down.
I tried to bring you on. You're like, no.
I'll go on, but my wrestling knowledge is vast, but it might be a little intimidating for most.
Did you ever get those images for the website?
Dude, Danny, I did, and I really apologize for that. And that's my fault, me being stubborn. We are so far into the season, I couldn't use the product review because part of the why I wanted the product review early was added credibility. So once you're already 6 months in, it's like what I would like to do. Well, it's super. It wasn't. Hey man, you look good. Thanks, buddy. I love you too. So it's like, man, 6 months, that's something that we had to leverage 1 or 2 months, so I just didn't use it. Now, when Generation 2 comes out, because your template's already there, I'd like to just give you Generation 2 for you to be able to
What I
do
can do,
that.
I can just like edit this, edit that, go live.
Well, Generation 2 is really cool. It's disconnecting.
And get the job change.
That's all right, man. So it's all good. You look good, man. I gotta dress with more youth, you know what I'm saying? I dress like an old guy.
Everybody says, how come you got tennis shoes
My
on?
wife
Like
is
this,
so
my
good,
feet
so-
hurt, man. Listen, I'm married with 3 kids. I told everybody now, it doesn't matter what I wear. I'm married with 3
That's
kids.
true.
My wife's hot. She's sitting up in the nosebleed. She's not happy. It is what it is. Look at Mike Attilo. He's got white tennis shoes on with a suit.
That's what it is. I think he wants it. I think he wants to like that shock factor.
Championships. Text wrestling to 55333. A winner will be randomly chosen at the conclusion of the championships. You may enter as many times as you like. And remember, this ring opportunity is brought to you by AT&T, exclusive wireless
Let me
partner.
find out that.
I just found that out about 4 hours ago when I was talking to him.
He's a financial guy, so maybe they have stocks in it.
No, he's the one that built the gap bridge between Muscle Farm and USA Wrestling. Look at Noel, he's all over the TR Foley book. He's in the game.
He's weird too.
Noel, yeah, he's a
That'll change my mind on that.
very
Out there,
promoting guy. He's got to be a promoting guy.
he just seems like he has too much energy without being on something.
Well, yeah.
He's not on anything.
He just seems too happy all the time.
He's not on anything. I assure you that.
That's a hard act to follow. That's pretty good. This is Steve Foster, very hoarse. Steve Foster here, bringing you the 2000 Division I Wrestling National Championships in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma at the Chesapeake Arena. And Billy Baldwin.
In a time warp. It's 2014.
2014. What I say? 2000. 2014. Let's add 14 years to that.
It's a throwback, my friend.
That is. I could probably tell you what the score was. Maybe. I don't know. I won't challenge myself there. I'm not going to go there because I'd probably blow that too. Let's give us to another decade. 2014. I haven't said not 2014 the whole tournament, right?
That's right.
So
You've done well so far.
Might as well do it at last night. Billy Baldwin to my right, Jeff Murphy to my left. We've had a blast, and my voice proves it because I've had fun talking about it. And I don't know if they're going to be able to tell the difference between when I talk and Billy Baldwin talks, because I think we have the common problem.
The problem, yeah.
We got the same, so I'm just glad you came with a
We're gonna
coat
give
jacket
our
full of.
3 years in a row, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely,
No problem.
absolutely. We're glad you're here.
Yep, Jeff's been here a few years. Scotty Too Hotty go back 16 years we've been broadcasting it, so we're having a lot of fun. Anytime we can do something like this with Billy Baldwin, it's always a special moment, and we appreciate it. Thanks for the throat lozenges. Yeah, Takedown Radio. I'm glad Billy showed up with the Jack coat pocket full of throat lozenges. So
that's good.
That's priceless, my friend. So we're going to sound like two frogs in a pond, probably, sitting on a lily pad. But Jeff Murphy, you're always great at what you do, and boy, you sure help me sound a little bit better, and you do a great job. And we did end our session with a question: what happens if they tie? And I think we both got the same answer. That was interesting. I don't know if we went the same source. It's happened once, 1938. Oklahoma State Cowboys and the Iowa State Cyclones tied. There's no criteria. Co-champions.
And there shouldn't be.
Right.
When you come to a tie in this, you should be co-champions.
Yeah, because right. That's a good observation for Billy Baldwin. And what's the mathematical possibilities of that? So they should both get a trophy.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Much better.
These guys have been leapfrogging. You said we have froggy throats.
Yeah.
They've been leapfrogging each other, not round after round, match after match.
Right. I told them they've been retying the scores more times than I tied my tennis shoes as a little kid out on the playground. We've been doing a lot of retying. Billy said, well, we're going to set the stage for you. Information I didn't get. Some information I didn't get until now I have fun with is the heavyweights and what they weigh. So we'll just pick on that maybe as we go. But I don't see too many on here that's really pushing the 285-pound limit, really, So, but we'll have the weights of the finalists tonight. G. Wendowski from North Carolina State against Tony Nelson. And I know that's going to be a great heavyweight match. G. Wendowski, former Binghamton Bear.
Yeah, Nick Wisdowski, former Binghamton Bearcat. Yeah, he was an All-American, true freshman All-American 2 years ago when Papalizio left to become the head coach at North Carolina State. He transferred with him, redshirted last year, and he's right on schedule. He's an All-American freshman year, and he's in the finals his sophomore year. Yeah. And Nelson's going to have his hands full.
Yeah, he will. Nelson's been hot. He had a little slump. I know Jeff Murphy talked to him in the belly of the Hilton Coliseum because he didn't wrestle in the duel against Iowa State University, and you talked to him, but hey, I think his rest paid off because he's been pinning people.
Well, I think so too. I think Tony just needed a little bit of time to refocus this year, and he did, and he's out there, and it's going to be a great heavyweight matchup.
And as far as his match goes, guys, too, we all know this. Minnesota's going to need all the team points they can get. So
let me ask the question. It was once debated whether we were going to wrestle these matches all in order. Did they decide to wrestle them in order, or are we going to take one that's...
I was told we're starting at 74.
Going to end with Caldwell Taylor.
We're going to have a little...
So I stacked these wrong, didn't I?
We're ending with Taylor.
Yeah, Taylor Caldwell going to finish, yes. Yeah, finish
and
with
we're starting with a little homage to Bedlam.
Yeah.
With Oklahoma State here.
Yeah, that's right.
That's going to be a barn burner.
That'll be a rematch.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And their guys, if they did, then they could possibly have a half-point lead. So by changing that order, you're not going to have that drama of maybe all the way down to Tony Nelson in the heavyweight match. Who wins?
No. If there'd be a lot of drama if Nelson wins, and it comes all the way around to Ness, and Ness is going to have to win.
Yeah.
And he's a pinner.
Nelson will be up first. And they both have stiff competition today.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. Ness isn't really a 9 seed. He came in here with a 9th seed.
Right, yeah.
He's national champion material through and through.
Yeah.
So don't let the 9th seed fool you.
One of my favorite matches for Ness, I think, is when he set up James Green.
Yeah.
We both said, I think Green's falling for it. He set him up, pinned the number 1 seed. So he not only wins, but he scores bonus points often. Mr. Dangerous.
What
Ness.
could be the drama tonight is if Ness and Tony Nilsson both win, Ed Ruth wins, down comes down, David Taylor's got to get bonus points to win the title.
But will that do it? If he gets a pin, if they win decisions, if Nelson and Ness win a decision, and will it come down to, will a pin by Taylor do it?
You'd have to have a pin by Taylor and a pin by Ruth in order to do that.
That's a tall order, man.
Yeah, I understand.
Taylor's the great one. We all call him just DT for short. One of my favorite people to be around. I had a good time with him up at the Big Tens, but I got news for you. His opponent's no walk in the park, so Caldwell's tough.
What makes this, I think, really interesting is just the simple fact that Minnesota comes into this with a 2.5-point lead. So that half a point really becomes something pretty special, depending upon how everything plays out. So ought to be a great evening.
Yeah, it will. And you know, the thing about the Taylor-Caldwell match, as much as I enjoy watching DT wrestle his whole career, he's been a phenom. I got news for you. I think the last match was 7-4 or 7-3. So Caldwell's been kind of catching him. He's one of the very few people, maybe the only one in the nation, that can actually somewhat keep up with Taylor. But Taylor's going to be pumped and primed to be ready to go. Kel Sanderson, Cody, and Casey Cunningham will all have his guy going and ready to go out there and try to win. Of course, John Smith will be in the corner for Oklahoma State, probably Zach Esposito and Eric Guerrero in the corner for Caldwell. And it's been a Caldwell boyhood dream since he was a little boy. Read an article about this week to wrestle for Oklahoma State Cowboys. So
yeah, so I tell you what, there's a lot of anticipation in the room as we wait for everything to start. I think we've got 10 minutes until the whole shoot match kicks off.
We could go through the weights. I don't know if you want to start at 25 and
start at 74. We're going to start. Yep.
Let's go in order. So we're going to have Howe and Perry. It's a rematch, guys. They've wrestled already this year a couple times. The most recent one, Perry won in a very controversial win in the Big 12 finals. Of course, Perry was national champ last year. Howe's won some national titles, but I got news for you. It's a 165-pound weight class, not a 174-pound weight class. So it'll be a good match.
You know, the Howe and Perry match at the Big 12 final was quite contested.
Yeah, it was.
Some would say that Howe maybe had Perry on his back and pinned him. I watched it several times.
Kind of like Evans had with Iowa,
I'm not so sure exactly, but so that I think that'll be highly anticipated by the folks here in Oklahoma.
Yeah. Hey, that's great. Billy brought it up earlier. It's going to be great because you got a Sooner and a Cowboy, you know, and Perry's the brother of a two-time national champ, Mark Perry, who wrestled, of all things, for the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Brands brothers.
I was at a Bedlam match in the 1970s where Oklahoma State wrestled Oklahoma at Gallagher Hall. The capacity back then was, I think, about 7,000, and they had about 9,000 people there. And the fans screamed so loud that the lights in the ceiling broke.
Oh, yeah?
And some of the glass came fluttering down onto the mat, and they had to stop the match, and they had to bring out a broom and a mop, and they had to wipe off the mat because little fragments of light bulb glass had landed on the mat.
I think that might have been Jimmy Jackson, and I've heard about that match too. I forget who it was. Came down to heavyweight, and it was a big pin, wasn't it?
It was, no, you know what happened? I don't know if you heard of this match, but one of the guys got warned for excessive roughness for cross-facing, and then the heavyweight bit the guy in the arm.
Oh, my
goodness. They got double disqualifications, and both teams got 6 points.
Oh, my gosh. Is that bizarre?
And I think the heavyweight from Oklahoma State was a young kid, and it wasn't Oklahoma, it was Iowa. The heavyweight from Iowa was the defending national champion. And the heavyweight from Oklahoma was like a sophomore, like ranked low.
Wow.
And no one was scoring. They were getting very frustrated. A lot of heavy cross faces. The one kid bit the other kid. Referee stopped the match, and he was going to disqualify the kid for the cross face because it was like the third or fourth warning. And in the course of that match, it was so like berserk that the light bulb broke in the ceiling. I was there. It was like 1979.
A lot of noise.
It wasn't Oklahoma. It was Iowa versus Oklahoma State. It came down to heavyweight.
Hawkeyes and the Cowboys. That's fantastic. That's fun stuff, guys. And that's what kind of heated battle it is. And, you know, we heard Oklahoma people when Brewer beat Morrison earlier, the Sooner fans came to their feet. So they're going to be keeping track of that.
Yep, so as we look at Perry versus Howe, maybe not a lot of activity in that match.
Neither one of them are scoring machines. I mean, they don't score a lot of points. They're both very strong, very physical. Howe never wears out. He's got lungs that were perfectly made for him.
I think Andrew Howe gets him in his final match of his college career. That's what I think.
Yeah, I don't know. We're not supposed to gamble or even encourage it, so I don't know what other terminology to use. But if I was going to put money on it, probably go a little bit towards Howe. But rumor has it at the 12s he started slow.
Yeah. So let's move on to 184. 184, Jimmy Sheptock from Maryland versus Ed Ruth from Penn State University. Again, a couple of seniors, and Ed Ruth going to cap a phenomenal career in the finals tonight as a senior once again.
Yeah, Shiptock's undefeated. You know, he came in there 32-0, the number 1 seed. Who would have thought Ed Ruth would be the number 2 seed? You know, but Ruth, he's flashy, he's fast. Shiptock's built like a Mack truck. He's powerful. He likes to underhook people, double underhook him. He likes to get up her body and throw people. But Ruth just is so mat savvy. Billy and Jeff both, he almost reminds me a little heavier of David Taylor. I mean, they have similarities. He always knows where he's at. It's hard to get him out of position. He can do the inside cradle, outside cradle, suicide cradle. He's a cradling machine, so he's always dangerous. But Shiptock's going to be hard to put on his back. It's hard to roll a German tank over.
I like this kid Dean from Cornell too. He's a true freshman.
Yeah.
He's built like a Mack truck. He's the one loss Ruth had this year.
Yes.
They got a lot of young kids. Rio Budo, Dean, and a couple of others that are either freshmen and sophomores. So watch Cornell over the next couple of years. I heard Rio Budo did tear his ACL earlier in the tournament. That's why he defaulted. And I think he's going to have surgery probably in the next week or so. That's what the couple people from the athletic department at Cornell told me earlier today.
Yeah, right. Cornell brought 8 wrestlers here to the tournament, and the only one who's going to graduate is Nevinger at 141, and everybody else is back.
Garrett, Real Budo, and Dean all very, very impressive in this tournament so far.
Absolutely.
Going to go to 197.
All right, we'll move on to 197.
Freshman.
We'll look at Nick Heflin from Ohio State. Heflin came in with the number 1 seed and a 28-1 record against Jaden Cox from Missouri. Cox also came in 37-2. He's a freshman, and he's been really impressive.
Yeah, he has. He's very explosive. He's a takedown machine, takedown artist. He loves the pace. He loves ready guys. A couple years ago, he was wrestling 174 pounds for Ohio State Buckeyes, so he's jumped up 2 weights. He's the veteran. Came in the tournament number 1 seed, 28-1. Jaden Cox came into the tournament 37-2. So whoever seeded the first and second were right. Now third on, that's all a big argument. For Cox to bring it, it'll be interesting to see if the freshman has any jitters.
Yeah, I think so too. I'll tell you what, Heflin's been maybe less than impressive this tournament thus far.
I agree. I don't, Heflin, I actually almost give the favor to Cox, the freshman.
I'd lean that way too, just on what we've seen.
He's a specimen. He's quite an athlete. Heavyweights.
Yeah, so again, Tony Nelson, 2-time defending NCAA champion. As you said earlier, Steve, a little bit of a loss of focus maybe in the middle of the season, had a little bit of a tough patch there, but came back and proved to us the champion that he was as he won balls on his way to the championship. And Nick Wisdowski, North Carolina State, is going to get real loud in here, so I apologize for the background noise. They're preparing for ESPN to go on the air, and there we are.
Well, once again, the wrestling fans have proved year after year that they're the best, the loudest, and the greatest fans in the entire globe.
I love the wrestling. I love the athletes and the coaches. The fans are a big part of why I come back every year. I love these people.
Absolutely.
Great people. I was born and raised in New York, and I spent a lot of my adult life in LA, and that's not wrestling New York and LA, man. It's Waterloo. It's Bethlehem. It's Broken Arrow. It's the heartland.
Yeah,
that's what I love about this sport.
Yeah, it is, and there are a lot of matches being won here in Oklahoma State.
They're showing video or camera shots of the different wrestlers and coaches up on the big screen. That's why you get the different roars as you go around with some of the folks. Some of a little bit of cheering and some maybe a little bit of booing. So.
And for North Carolina State, we'll go with G. Wendowski. Is that we're saying that right?
Gwizdowski.
Gwizdowski. Every person we've had on has brought us a different
said it a different way. Gwizdowski, I told you, he wrestled Nelson in the World Team Trials a couple months ago, beat him twice, and in one match spanked him 11-2, took him down 4 times with a double leg. So I don't think this is going to be. Look, if Nelson doesn't win, they don't win the title.
Well,
I don't think Ruth and Taylor are losing.
You know, and Gwizdowski, I think the thing that he's got going for him over Nelson is so methodical on things. Gwizdowski really impressed me with his ability to move and try different things, change levels.
He hasn't been taken down once in this tournament. He's been in Ohio training with Delognev for a couple of weeks, and Delognev gave him a couple of pointers on his feet with his footwork, and it's paid off so far. He said he's got a totally different philosophy on his
standing.
Reese Humphreys was on a little sooner, and he'd said earlier on, and he said he'd seen Gwizdowski and with Cervelle Delagnev as well, so that didn't hurt him any, obviously.
Yeah.
Going out there, working with our number 1 guy in the nation. 125 pounds, Delgado, returning champ for the Fighting Illini. Won his last match 9-6 against Dylan Peters, UNI. And then, of course, Nashawn Garrett, a sophomore for Cornell. He's been here before, and he's fantastic. This should be great. What we've seen of Delgado, Big Tens, Jeff Murphy and I was able to do the Big Tens, Billy. Delgado, he likes to get an early lead, and then he kind of puts his track shoes on, doesn't he, Jeff? And does the 15-yard dash.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens here with Garrett. Garrett's going to be able to run and move him around. So Delgado does like to score early if he can.
Yeah, and that's just it. Delgado likes to score. I think what Garrett's got to do is he's got to come out and put the pressure on early and make Delgado wrestle defensively. And because, and you remember that match between the two of them last year in the semifinals. So just an outstanding match. So I think Garrett, if he comes out and pushes the envelope early, forces the offense, I think he's the guy who can win this match.
Yeah, I do too. I know Delgado's a scrapper. You don't get to the finals 2 times in a row just by making weight, but I'll tell you, Garrett's a real specimen there, 125 pounds. 133, Jeff Murphy, what you set the stage.
Well, you've got a couple of seniors at 133. You've got Tyler Graff, who came in here with a 5 seed, Graff from Wisconsin. Again, just Graff sort of methodically worked his way through this tournament and taken on all comers. 6-4 victory over Joe Colon. And Tony Ramos, the senior. Ramos has been in this finals a number of times and never really came out the champion. So Tony's got an opportunity. He's a 3 seed coming in. He defeated the 2 seed, AJ Shop from Edinburgh. Again, Ramos is a senior, so there's going to be a lot of emotion out on the mat tonight. Of course, with those two.
They've met repeatedly. Ramos has had the upper hand recently, but Graff did defeat him earlier on in his career. He hasn't won over Tony Ramos for a while. They're Big Ten opponents, so they've been meeting in duels for years. They met in the Big Ten finals this year with Ramos winning at the end.
All right,
so they know each other well.
We're going to go ahead and shift gears to the live action here because they're bringing the wrestlers on the floor as we speak. Andrew Howe from the University of Oklahoma got a rousing cheer. And I think we'll hear it. And of course,
I love it.
The Hawk fans weren't thrilled about the way Perry just clung on and kind of hung in there for the whole time in order to be able to beat Evans. So.
Well, he's here and he earned it, but there's some people with photos that maybe think Evans had him pinned when he stacked him up, but Perry's a stud.
Both Evans and St. John faded in the wrestlebacks. They really faded. That's why Iowa finds himself in 4th place now, a distant 4th place.
Yeah.
They had a couple of guys that really underperformed here. Evans looked good in the first couple of rounds, and then when he lost and went into the wrestlebacks, I don't know if he had nothing left in the tank or if he hurt himself. I know he sprained his knee at one point. I don't know if that was effective, if he couldn't drive off that leg anymore or what, but he didn't look so good in the last couple of rounds.
In that last match too, Billy, Jeff and I noticed they stopped the match. They wrapped Evans' ankle up pretty big too, so he got kind of dinged up. He's a long wrestler for this 174-pound weight class.
Yeah.
sometimes those guys get their joints bent different directions after they've done a whole season. A grueling tournament like this, their bodies takes a toll on you.
Yeah, well, I've got to think that the Hawkeye coaches, there's something there because, Billy, that's a very astute observation because the Hawkeyes just looked like they were tired in this whole tournament.
Yeah.
They weren't as aggressive as they normally are, and I don't know what it was, but it certainly translated into fewer points on the mat.
They do reload next year. They lose Ramos and Evans. Thomas Gilman will be in the.
Not Evans.
Evans is back. He's a junior. So, but Thomas Gilman, I know, is going to replace Tony Ramos. So they're going to have a good 1-2 punch there. The Hawkeyes. They won't go far for long. Iowa won't.
For those of you listening at home, it's just electric in this room right now. The match hasn't even started yet. Just the buzz and the energy and the motion. It's got everybody here on pins and needles, the anticipation, especially starting off with this homage to Bedlam here between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. I just wait till this gets going. Boy, it's going to be a real rumble here, baby.
I don't like getting spooky on people, but we are spirits in the spiritual world, and I got news for you. The spirit of wrestling is entering this building. These guys, it becomes a spiritual event. These two guys really go after each other because it's a real coveted thing to become an NCAA champion Division I, and these both have done it. So they're really fighting for repeats.
Perry versus Howe. Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State.
We good.
Oklahoma City, here we go.
All right,
Perry
on a shot early.
Caution on Perry right away. So
on a shot too early.
Yeah, these guys are real strong. They do a lot of pushing and shoving.
It'll be interesting to see the pace of this match and see who really is the aggressor. Howe's very straightforward and come at you, and Perry.
Yeah,
I saw Mark Perry about a half an hour ago, and he told me right off the whistle there's going to be a quick shot. How about that?
You got it.
I didn't want to say it on the air in case anybody was going to text anybody, but he said there's going to be a quick shot right off the whistle.
Boy, and he did it. Jumped the gun.
Yeah, well, Howe's a pretty straightforward wrestler. Perry, he'll twist around and he'll put you in mind of just a bigger version of his older brother is what he does. And especially if in fact the Howe gets in on
World Team Trials, Stillwater, Oklahoma. Howe does a little duck under. Perry fights it off. No score.
Howe in on a shot and Perry on a reshot, but neither wrestler successful and back on their feet, all tied up.
There's your double underhooks by Howe, I was saying. He loves those double underhooks. Perry might get hit for a stall warning here pretty quick.
Yeah, Perry backs off, but Howe with the double underhooks, I think that was a wise move to back out of the situation, try to get a restart.
Well, Howe will throw you. You know, he's tough. He's real good. This Perry family, they all related entwinedly with John Smith, 6-time world champ. So
yeah, I tell you what's tough for me on Perry in on a shot. Howe grabs his head. That isn't successful. And Howe backs
so
off.
No stall call yet on Perry. Could
Yeah.
be coming pretty soon, maybe.
So the thing that always amazes me with these two is Howe, to me, looks a lot bigger. Now I recognize the same weight class, but just looks a lot bigger.
Howe's a beast. He's an absolute beast.
So the end of the first period, a 0-0 score. The referee allows Perry to make a decision. Perry says, "I'll take down." So Perry will start in the bottom, Andrew Howe on the top to start the second period. Again, 0-0 score.
Little side note, Andrew Howe actually is a transfer from the University of Wisconsin out of Madison. That's where he won his other title, was for the Wisconsin Badgers, but now wrestling for the Sooners. Perry's up and out. We got a score, guys, 1-0.
Yeah, Perry up and out quickly, 6 seconds.
Why, for our audience, if you know specifically, why was it that he left Wisconsin and headed over to Oklahoma?
Well, his favorite coach, Barry Davis is a phenom, and I love Barry dearly, 3-time national champ for Iowa, but he rolled a lot with Donnie Pritzloff. Donnie Pritzloff went to Michigan, and you cannot, NCAA will not allow you to open transfer to another conference team. So he had to go to Big 12s. And he knows Mark Cody good, and he ended up down here in Norman.
Yeah, in fact, it wasn't just Andrew Howe, but Travis Rutt went as well.
Right, his buddy Travis at 197, which isn't even Russ, who got pushed out of the tournament.
Very nice sort of low single, quasi-high crotch attempt there by Perry, but he missed. There he goes, there he goes.
Boy, threw Howe right over the top. Gets 2 points. Big move by Perry, big move.
Wow.
It's big.
That was explosive.
That's the kind of move you need, though, when you get pressure on you all the time. Like House, he took his athleticism and his explosiveness. used Howe's pressure to his advantage and got the takedown.
That was very impressive.
So,
you don't see people do that to Howe.
Yeah.
You don't see people do that to Howe very often. I'll tell you right now. They threw him around.
Yes, sir. That's right. You hear listening to Billy Baldwin, myself, Steve Foster, and my good friend Jeff Murphy helping us out as always. Appreciate you guys jumping in. The two horse guys, by the way, is Billy and myself, Steve.
So Howe putting Perry putting both legs in. Howe kind of bridged up on his hands and his feet off the mat, trying not to go down, but
he's got the grapevine in. Yep. He's trying to get Howe down. He's cranking the head here.
Yeah. So one thing that happened while we were talking about the latest string of events there, Perry did get dinged for stalling, so you got to keep that in mind. He's been warned, which could become a factor later.
He's getting high. Oklahoma Sooners don't like it because Howe was getting ready to come out the back door and possibly get an escape or a 2-point reversal.
Sounds like about
Was that a stalemate or potentially dangerous?
I think it was a stalemate.
It was a stalemate, too.
But I tell you what, I think Howe was on his way to scoot out the back door.
I do too. I have to tell it like it is. I think Howe was in a position to score there. And so every once in a while the refs don't see what everybody else sees, but it's going to be a stall again here against Perry.
I'm curious about the strategy. Howe's got Perry under the leg. And I think what Howe's waiting for is for the referee to call the stalling call again, because Perry needs to return him to the mat.
Yeah, you're supposed to get a 5 count, and that was a lot longer than that. So.
Well, and then he called a stalemate on him, so.
Instead of a stall.
Yeah.
Legally, Perry was supposed to, it's his obligation to be the wrestler behind his opponent to take him to the mat.
Howe had him, by the leg. He was trying to put the leg in, and Howe had his leg locked up, so it was very difficult for him to advance and take him to the mat.
Right.
He had one leg trapped.
And it could have been intentional.
Well, I think it was intentional. I think he firmly grabbed that leg and just waiting for the referee.
He'd get the call because he's already been warned.
Yeah, so thinking that Perry might have to bail on him if he didn't want to get the point. But to no avail.
Howe chooses up neutral.
Yeah.
On the feet. He knows he needs some points. So
Howe's got to go. He's down 3-0, and also 1 minute and 3 seconds of riding time.
You think that's a smart move? Couldn't he have chosen down and gotten the escape, a quick escape, and gone for the 2?
I think he would have if he hadn't gotten rode so thoroughly for Perry, but he could have he probably figured the ref's not going to call stall in here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So what
Probably ruled that out because Perry just went out of bounds for like the 6th time now.
Yeah. So I think Howe just felt like he burned too much time if he started.
He's got to bring it. 1:30 to go, Jeff.
Yeah. He's got to take him down, and he's got to ride him for a few seconds to get that riding time off the clock.
Yeah, he does.
But if he's going to win this thing, he's going to.
Oh, nice! Look at that.
Nice shot by Perry. Off a Howe shot.
He may be backing out of bounds 5 or 6 times, but boy, when he picks his spots, he looks really good.
Well, and that's the thing, I guess, the rap on Perry is I think he could be an exciting wrestler to watch if he just took some of that talent and used it a little more often. But
yeah.
And he's been that way since he was a freshman. I remember seeing him as a freshman.
Yeah.
He wrestles exactly the same way today.
Oh, yeah. He's had a lot of
Leroy Kemp won 3 titles and should have won 4. I saw Lee Kemp wrestle 50 times, and I don't think he ever won by more than a point.
Yeah.
It's all a W. That's what counts.
So
a W.
Up working the head, pushing, shooting
Another
for a
shot
leg.
there by Howe.
See, Howe has not been able to be as effective on his penetration.
All but done. Pull some trick out. But
you know what? Howe makes you look like you're backing up. I'll tell you right now, a lot of times you're not backing up, and Howe will do that to you.
It's just all that physical power.
There it is.
There it is.
No, we got 4 seconds left.
4 seconds to go.
But I doubt he gets 3 points in 4 seconds, so.
Perry wins it. That's big, man. Jumping up in the arms of his uncle. Is that John Smith or not?
That's John Smith, Uncle John.
So, as remote as the possibility is for Oklahoma State to take a title home,
it's more points for him.
Yeah,
15 points.
Perry keeps the dream alive at least through the first match.
Yes, he does. So.
You know what? He picked his spots like a surgeon.
Yeah.
You know, he circled. Howe pushed him. He backed up, and all of a sudden, boom! He saw the opening, and that opening was microscopic.
Yeah.
And he just blew in there.
Yeah, that's right, man. And when he struck, he was in
further his education.
I hope he does. I hope that he
has he done a lot of international wrestling?
I don't think his brother's ever wrestled an international match. Mark, I'm not saying Chris is going to follow his big brother's footsteps, but Mark really hasn't done much at all as far as freestyle.
Chris neither.
I don't think, I haven't seen him attempt it yet. But
you know what? His coach is a 6-time world champion, so that's the problem with American wrestling. Is Gable talked about this at the Bobby Douglas roast the other night. He said, these kids from Iran, they train freestyle, they train for the Olympics when they start wrestling when they're 8, 10, 12, 15 years old. So by the time these kids graduate NCAA champions and they're 23, 24 as a redshirt, and they're starting to get serious about international competition, they're going up against guys from Uzbekistan and Azerbaijan and Russia and the Ukraine and Iran who have been wrestling freestyle for 10 or 12 years already. So we're at a little bit of a disadvantage there, and the fact that we're doing as well as I was, at the World Cup last week, and the fact that we were doing as well, we came in third, but we were the second best team because Russia came out of the other pool, and we were much more impressive than Russia. We competed against the Ukraine, we obliterated the Ukraine, and then we competed against Iran much better than Russia did. We were 3-3 going into the final two bouts, and I think if Talagnev hadn't had a couple months off because he was injured, if he had wrestled a little bit internationally more recently, he hadn't wrestled since the World Championships, we might have tied them 4-4.
That Clayton Foster win in that duel is real important too against the
he was the biggest rising star.
Clayton Foster
beat the two-time world champion from the Ukraine.
Foster's on a roll, and he's looking
Watch
good
for that kid.
Yeah.
Vegas next year, Rio. Watch for that kid. I would not be surprised at all if he's a medalist.
Well, I love his last name, so I don't know if he's a distant cousin or not, but Clayton's a good kid and a tough wrestler. But here we go. They aren't booing, guys. They're saying the last name, Ruth, and he gets to wrestle. Guess who? Somebody that hasn't even lost a match yet this year.
Yep.
Jimmy Shiptalk. Talk to us, Jeff Murphy, about Jimmy.
Shiptalk from Maryland. He's from Northampton, Pennsylvania originally. He's a senior. He came in the tournament with a 28-0 record, a 32-0 record. And Ed Ruth, again, a senior from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Obviously wrestles for Penn State University. Ruth is 29-1 on the year. Gabe Dean did beat him, as Jimmy talked about earlier. Ed Ruth has been in this finals. He's no stranger to it. He's been in it his whole career.
Not to take anything away from the ACC, but if you're wrestling in the Big Ten and you have to face these top-ranked guys 2-3 times a year, I don't know if Sheptalk would be 32-0 if he was in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I agree. Yep, that's so true.
And there's a lot of talk that the Big 12 and the ACC may combine for a qualifier for the NCAA tournament, which could get those schools to maybe start to wrestle each other a little more.
Great.
I think that'd be good for both conferences.
The Big 12 needs it.
Yep. Yeah, they do. They're down to 4 teams. And Kevin Jackson, I know, 2-time world champ, Olympic gold medalist. He was in our studio, and that was the first I'd heard about. And
I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah, they say that's in the making.
I think what would be good for that would be, it'd be good for the Big 12, obviously, to have more competition. It'd be good for the ACC. They'd get out and see some of those Big 12 wrestlers a little more often, so when tournament time came, they'd have a little more familiarity. All right, so the Maryland fans.
So everybody's turned into the Maryland heckler.
So the heckler's over here on that side.
Yeah, look at Robin Ficker. Robin Ficker's here. He's over there. I talked to him. I interviewed him before the duel, and he said he's going to make more noise than ever. And he had his zebra. He had his zebra pants on earlier, does he now?
Yeah, it looks like it from here.
The zebra pants on there. So.
It's so funny to watch the Gopher fans cheering for Mizzou right now.
Yeah, you bet.
It's so much fun.
They are.
I'm not Mizzou for Sheptalk.
Yeah, they are.
I didn't even think about the hecklers over in the Gopher
section. I'm watching
right
the Mizzou section behind me and the Minnesota section in front of me, and they're all cheering because of the team race with Minnesota.
That's right. This would be important for the Minnesota Gophers.
All I can say is if Ruth gets this decision, and it's a major decision, things are going to get very interesting.
The last match will be real important.
Well, we'll see what happens with Ed Ruth, because, we've talked a little bit about it, this tournament. We talked about it at the Big Ten tournament, and maybe some on Saturdays on Takedown Radio some weeks. about Ed Ruth just hasn't looked as inspired this year as he has in years past. He hasn't looked as dominating. He's been more contented for 4-2 wins.
Saw that in Madison, Wisconsin. We were doing the Big Tens up there.
So
I believe Ed Ruth just got married. He has a child, and he got married. So for an undergraduate in college, sometimes I have 3 kids. I mean, I know what.
Can't match Ruth's speed. Obviously, he's got the more power. But
wow,
Ruth
quick on a
speed.
single.
A lot of times, speed trumps power.
Wow, he looks really good on that single.
He did look
very
really
quickly.
good on that single.
And so far, speed has trumped power. Chip Talk's fast. He's powerful. I mean,
you know what?
Powerful.
He's coming out very aggressively.
Yeah,
you know what that means. Kale had a conversation with him. Watch this.
Absolutely.
He's looking to score some points here.
So
Alex Sanderson got him motivated. Jeff Murphy.
Ruth up 2-1 with just about 30 seconds out of the match. So absolutely, Ed Ruth came out with speed, and then Chip Talk kind of threw him off, and we'll see if Ruth comes back with the same amount of speed here.
You're listening to 2014 NCAA Division I National Championships here in Oklahoma City. Myself, Steve Foster. Off to my right is Billy Baldwin. To my left is my good friend Jeff Murphy. Billy's my friend too. We've done this enough times. You're in my friend category. Yeah, it's official. Yes, sir.
All right, that's great.
Yes, sir.
Well, so Ed Ruth out with a blast right off the bat.
Yeah, real explosive.
Things have slowed down just a little bit as we just crossed the 1 minute gone by in the first period.
Well, Chip Talk, I would think this would favor him. He'd probably like to slow it down and keep it within striking distance. See if he can't score points at the end if it comes to that. But there's a lot of wrestling left to go. 1:37 to go in the first period after Ruth's big takedown. But of course, Chip Talk with those powerful flies and legs got out fast.
Wow.
Chip Talk does not have an answer for Ed Ruth's takedowns.
Man.
You know what? It's not just the quickness; it's the technique.
Yeah,
it is. He's
I mean,
just so mad.
look at this.
Now Ruth
Look at
put
this.
him on his back.
No. I would have thought that would have been 2.
No back
Nothing.
points.
Wow.
Ed Ruth down on the ankles, just crawled up the legs with Chip Talk, hands flat on the mat with his back to the mat. But the referee indicated that there was not enough time where he was exposed to give points.
Well, the heckler's setting down, so I don't know who's got his attention. And 40 seconds riding time now in favor of Ruth. So he might be content to just try to take some punch out of Chip Talk. Maybe ride him out, wear him down a little bit, pick up a tilt if he can. I know Ruth loves the cradles and he loves tilts.
Well, based on the first 2 takedowns, if I were him, I'd put him right back on his feet.
I
Take him down 2 or 3 more times.
I think you're exactly right.
Good observation there by Billy Baldwin, because Ruth's just kind of been picking him apart. He does have a riding time now so far. He's got to have more than a minute before the match is over.
And maybe that's Ruth's strategy, is to get that minute and then turn him loose.
Yeah, and then go after him.
You got to think that Kale has talked to him about, bonus points.
Only 20 seconds left. He's going to cut him. He should do it right away.
Yeah, he's going to have to, or probably ride him on one of the 2, because you don't want to give it away. You don't want him to score at the end.
He's going to ride him.
Yep, I think
he would have cut him already.
Kel Sanderson and Casey Cunningham in the corner, and Mr. Kerry McCoy in Maryland's corner, one of the all-time greats. And maybe Tyrone Lewis, I think, over there too. Tyrone Lewis over there from Oklahoma State, a great one for the
All right,
Cowboys.
there's the first. I'd like to see Ruth start going to the head, start working the head to try and get a tilt. I don't want him hanging back down on the hips and the knees,
So
saved Chip Talk that first time. He's just kind of rolled from elbow to elbow, that he didn't give up those tilt points earlier, or back points.
So Ruth with the 4-1 lead, 1 minute and 30 seconds of riding time. And Chip Talk decides to take down. So Ruth climbs on top. We'll see how long Ruth tries to ride him now, or whether he cuts him.
After that first takedown, I thought Chip Talk had powerful enough legs. He was going to be able to get out at will, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Ruth is really putting a lot of pressure on Chip Talk's body.
Yeah, taking a lot out of him too. I'm sure this is relaxing on the lungs for Chip Talk than it is for Ruth.
It is. He's just kind of switching from side to side with that tight waist ride. He did a couple arm chops. He had that claw. Now he's trying a far side cradle, maybe kind of locking up Chip Talk for a cradle. He'll do the inside, the outside, and then when you do that somersault, I've been called it's the suicide cradle. So he'll do all 3 of them.
I think it's interesting at this point that Ruth's still riding him, and with a 4-1 lead now, I guess you need to secure the victory before you worry about bonus points, because all will be lost if somehow Ruth would get beat. But
Heckler's blowing his horn. He said he was going to try to sneak it in here. He must have got her done. He had it in his duffel bag.
So I think this is kind of an interesting strategy. I really thought Ed Ruth would probably cut him this round fairly quickly and try to take him down.
Yeah, pick up some points, So just try to wear him out and then maybe score more at the end. But we talked about Ruth's inability to just kind of have a little bit more of a killer instinct than he used to have. I mean, he had close matches up in Madison.
Absolutely.
At the Big Tens,
So still no real action out there. 4-1. Yeah. Ruth just riding him. Shiptalk tries to get to his feet a little bit. Ruth brings him right back down to the mat.
Notice how busy Ruth is.
Yep.
He just frustrates the heck out of you if you're down below.
Yeah, but he's got to do more than that. He's got to snap him back. He's got to, you already had that far side cradle going before a little bit, but I'm not seeing much in it.
Arm chop.
I don't see him really going for the
keeping his
the near fall points right now.
Stays too parallel too long. Every once in a while, ref will think that's stalling with a parallel ride.
Yep, 14 seconds left in this second period. Bruce, he's got riding time all sealed up. There's no chance of that.
I guess he's looking for the escape and the quick takedown in the third.
Yep.
With riding time, that'll make it 7-1, so he's going to have to cut him.
Yep.
Cut him.
If he gets up and out and a takedown, he's going to have to cut him.
That's exactly right.
184-pound weight class here. Myself, Steve Foster, Billy Baldwin to my right, Jeff Murphy to our left. Bringing the action. The two horse guys, that's me and Billy. That just proof we've been having fun at the wrestling tournament.
All right.
That's all that is.
Ruth starts down. Sheptalk riding him tough, but...
Oh, nice. This man trying to get the reversal, or would be content. Shiptalk. Oh, he's got him in a gator roll.
Yeah.
Two.
Kind of got him in a gator roll. Ruth comes out on top because he is so mat savvy. He's a mat genius. He knows where he's at all times.
Yep, 6-1 now. And Casey
boy, that's what you do.
Let him go.
Got
the points.
Got to pick up some bonus points here. He looked over at Casey Cunningham, and Casey said, "Caught him. Let him go."
Yep. 6-2 now.
Of course, in these circumstances, the spoilers when the other guy gets a takedown. But I don't know if Shiptalk's really proved to us that he has the ability to do that tonight.
Well, take a look at this. I mean, here he goes again on that single.
Yep. So 1 minute and 17 seconds left in the match. Ed Ruth needs this takedown.
Yeah, he does.
He needs this takedown, and then he needs something else.
Yeah.
Well, if you got a point for every minute of riding time, you had an advantage. You'd have 3, but you can only get 1. So if it's a minute or more, so it's 3:26. Really, you could say it might have been a little bit of a waste of time. But he gets the takedown here, 8-2. Be 9-2. He's still going to be 1 shy.
That's just it. Bruce is going to have to get in gear. He's going to score any type of extra bonus point for Penn State, and Penn State needs all the points they can get at this point in the game.
Shiptalk's real physically strong. He's a real physical specimen. He's kind of like Howell was early on. But
well, it'll be interesting to see what Shiptalk's philosophy here is in this last 30 seconds, because somewhere, if he's going to win this thing, he's going to have to throw some type of big move, and that would allow Ed Ruth to put a counter in. So we'll see what happens.
Shiptalk gets a little desperate and sloppy here. Maybe Ed could throw him to his back.
Now,
but we're winding down here.
Yep, absolutely. Shiptalk in on a single leg.
Shot. Ruth trying to counter off of it. 9 seconds to go, guys. It could end up just being a 7-2
and I think that's
match or not.
Going to be it.
That's it.
3, 2, 1. That's
little surprise there.
Yeah, me too.
Ruth beat it that, but the fans are up cheering him on. A lot of Penn State people way in the upper deck too, we noticed. Not just down here, but they've taken up a big section. So Ruth is your champion.
4-time finalist, 3-time national champion, Ed Ruth.
Yeah, there's 3 going for the 3 championships. Logan Stever from Ohio State. Ed Ruth just got his, and then
Nelson,
and then Tony Nelson, the big guy.
I'll tell you what, fellas, we've just seen the final, at least college match of a really special wrestler. I think as we all get a little older and we look back on history, we've seen a young man who just was, somebody who's going to go down as one of the greats.
3 total losses in his career. Won this year to Gabe Dean. And I think the other one I remember we witnessed was Nick Musha Stagey, Jeff's favorite name. Musha Stagey from Stanford Cardinal. I remember him beating Ed Ruth, and my brain's churning to try to come up with the other one. But I do know I've read he just had those 3 losses, just 2, until Dean, the sensational freshman from Cornell that Billy Baldwin brought up earlier, beat him. So
he loses at the right time.
Yeah.
The Dean was a great time to lose.
Yeah, if you got to lose.
Better to lose, 2/3 of the way through the season. Let it motivate you.
Absolutely.
Let it stew for a couple of weeks leading into the qualifier, leading into the Nationals, and look what you get.
Very well stated there by Billy Baldwin. And he did get the revenge match too, as I said, the rubber match there with Gabe Dean. He won earlier on 5-3 against Dean, the freshman from Cornell. So.
Yeah, a little. I still got to say 3. Hats off to Ruth, but the way he came out so explosively in that first takedown within 5 seconds, I thought we were going to get one of those Brent Metcalf 7 minutes of relentless nonstop. I thought he was going to take him down 5 times.
I did too. Especially with the team title on the line. And
that's what I'm saying. That's what I thought.
I mean, at least the major decision to get that extra point. So.
Got Casper up on the screen. Getting part of the action. Jeff Murphy.
So the other thing I think about Ruth that's kind of interesting is you take a look at how special he is and how special David Taylor is for that team, and that'll be a real hole for Penn State to have to fill as they look ahead next year. Now they've got some great wrestlers, don't get me wrong, but those are 2 guys that scored a lot of bonus points in this NCAA tournament in their careers.
Got some good freshmen and younger guys, but they've had some great 2 superstars for quite a while here in Ruth and Taylor. Billy Baldwin brought up earlier about Cornell being strong next year, and somebody pointed out to me that the Hawks are going to be real tough next year. They just got to reload. And Ohio State's got a lot of stuff coming
Ohio
up.
State's got a lot of talent coming.
Hunter Stever comes back. They got
Michigan's had a couple really solid recruiting seasons too. So this kid Kuhn was ranked #1 in the nation. Takes 9th in the Big Tens, qualifies to come here, doesn't place. He's only a freshman. He's 18 years old. What's going to happen when that kid's 20 or 21? They've had a couple of good kids.
He was on high school last year, believe it or not. So.
Yeah, and I think another school that has the potential to have a really good season next year is Illinois as well, because Illinois has got a good young team. They lose Delago and Gonzalez, but everybody else is back, including Delgado.
Yeah, they are. It's always fun to talk about now and talk about the future, what the future holds. And we're going to be bringing it to you as long as it's happening here at Takedown Wrestling Media, Takedown Radio. And we want to thank all of our people at themat.com joining us today. One of my favorite websites to go to is themat.com. Keeping up on everything. I've seen Billy Baldwin's picture on themat.com, so that makes it officially cool, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Interesting, I don't know how many matches in the Big 12 or the Big 10 Sheptuck had. I don't know how many he had.
Well, Midlands, he
must have
ran
won a
into
couple.
some. Yeah, the Midlands, he won the title there. But your observation was correct earlier on.
That conference would have worn him down. If he came out of that conference 32-0, then wow.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's right. That happens a lot. I remember when a good friend, Dave Zabriskie, beat Conrad Duziak. Duziak from Duke came out undefeated. Seated Hyder and my good friend Zabriskie, who helped us with the broadcast, and he said, I think I can beat him because I've studied who he's wrestled, and I've studied who I've wrestled, and he's undefeated. I think Zabriskie, his senior year, wrestled, one guy that wasn't in the top 20? He was in the top 20 constantly, week after week after week, and that's what you're bringing up, Billy, was ship talking the 8CCs, really. Iron sharpens iron. If you don't got no iron to sharpen you see what happens. So, okay, guys.
All right. So
veteran against a real freshman.
Yep. So we'll move into the 197-pound class with Nick Heflin from Ohio State University. He's from Massillon, Ohio, and Heflin came in here as the #1 seed, 28-1. Heflin got 5th place last year in the 174-pound class here, so returning All-American.
Pulled a Bertolino, went up 2 weights.
Absolutely. He's going to face Jaden Cox from Missouri. Cox out of Columbia, Missouri. He's a freshman, and that freshman Cox has a 37-2 record coming in. So we're going to see as Steve said, the veteran versus the youngster. Heflin is a strong guy, but Cox, I think, has a better build and thighs that are about as big as tree trunks.
Yeah, I don't know who's are bigger, can push more, him or Ivan Gatson from Iowa State at this weight, but both these guys, if my car's stuck in the mud or the snow in the ditch, I know whose cell phones I'd like to have, Cox or Gatson, because I got a feeling they can push my truck right out of the ditch.
Yeah, we were
Heflin's a little taller and leaner, but Cox is a takedown machine. He loves to get the takedowns.
Well, we talked to Tom Ryan a week ago on Takedown Radio, and Tom was talking about Heflin and talked about how he's really turned it up a notch. And we saw that at the Big Ten tournament, but maybe not so much here at the NCAA tournament. So Cox is explosive, so we'll see what kind of match we get here.
Personally, I think Heflin would favor a slower pace. Cox would kind of like to speed it up. And you know, Heflin, he does look large, though, doesn't he, when he's out there right now?
Yeah,
he just looks so tall.
Heflin's really bulked up over the last year.
He's done everything right over the summer, hasn't he, guys?
That might have been why he finished 5th last year, because he had a big cut to 74.
Yes, exactly. Cox is out of Columbia, right around Columbia, Missouri, I know. And real good kid. He won a lot of state titles. I know before he lost this year, he said he was going to be, his goal was a 4-time champ. Undefeated. Well, he got beat only twice, which is amazing as a freshman. Amazing accomplishment, but he could still win those 4 titles.
Absolutely.
Got to win them one at a time.
See if he can get number 1 here tonight.
Yeah, against the Buckeye.
All right, so Heflin with a little bit of a takedown. Started a little bit too far away to really achieve anything, and Cox is quick.
As far as their schools go, you got Columbus against Columbia. Columbia being out of Missouri and Columbus being out of Ohio, home of the Buckeyes, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Billy?
I was just thinking, any athlete, any wrestler who makes it to the finals as a freshman, even a redshirt freshman, right out of high school or maybe a year out of high school, that's stunning to me. You could be wrestling guys that are 23, 24 years old in their 5th year of eligibility that are 23, and you weren't even able to drive last year.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always so impressive to me how these guys.
Boy, they locked it up, got in a bear hug situation. I think Heflin actually kind of initiated it, but Cox got under his hands and bear hugged him and said, "Let's go upstairs. I'm ready to throw." Might do a little Greco-Roman wrestling out here in the folk style.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, that's right. Keep it above the waist. For years, I always referred to as Greco-Roman as be throw or be thrown. So, but,
if you look at this class, Heflin's a senior. Penny from Virginia was a senior. Otherwise, you've got Cox as a freshman, Hartman as a sophomore, be back, McIntosh a sophomore, Gadsden's a junior, and Schiller's a junior, and I missed one, Burak's a sophomore. So everybody in this class is coming back except for Heflin.
Doesn't empty out much, does it? Coming into this tournament.
Cox goes in on a single, switches to a double. Heflin goes heavy on the head. Sprawls,
big sprawl.
Cox gets nothing out of it.
Yeah, before
initially it looked like he might have had something there.
He's usually that fast that he finishes what he starts. Once he commits, he's very explosive. But Heflin obviously, I'm sure got his attention when he shut him down. As Billy Baldwin said, nice hips by Heflin and a good sprawl. Not sure if he had a crossface with that, but I remember drilling that in high school. Sprawl crossface. Sprawl crossface. Do that for hours and then wonder if you're even going to make the varsity team. There's my career in a nutshell. Let's get back to the good wrestlers. Heflin and Cox out here. Missouri against Ohio State. So,
that's the end of the first period. I think this match is playing right into Heflin's hands.
I do too.
He'd like to keep it really close and then have one big explosive move in the end to win. But
guarantee you, you'd love to slow it down, keep Cox from getting those takedowns. Cox lost twice. I know Gatson from Iowa State got him once in the scuffle. And I'm not sure who else. Might have been McIntosh.
Oh, look out! Wow. So Cox gets up. Cox starts on the bottom immediately.
Watch a replay up here.
Jumps up.
See. Just shows how powerful Cox is.
Yep. Cox
he
with
gets
the
up.
escape, but then he chases Heflin right off the edge of the mat, and as he tries to do a double leg on the edge, almost flips Heflin and completely off the stage.
Guys like this, you wish the circle or the cylinder was bigger.
Completely off the raised platform.
Got poked in the eye, I think.
Poked in the eye.
Cox did, so
we'll kind of get his eyeball back in place and We'll get a restart here.
Referee's going to make sure he's okay.
So Cox is up 1-0.
I like it when the referee has a cauliflower ear, and that's the case here. So shows he's not just reffing as a hobby. He's actually been out there. Cox on an explosive single.
And Heflin picks it up, and Heflin's got it locked up.
Yeah, trying to do that. Cox would love to go to bear hugs here, if he can.
Yeah.
This is where he got double underhooks here.
I'm not sure. Heflin's just trying to
He's
hang on.
He's going to try to throw him at the edge, maybe. No, Cox pushing. People might, I think the Tiger fans are behind us up here. So and they're wanting a stall call, maybe.
So Cox pushing the action now.
Higher paced, I think Cox likes it because he loves the takedown game. He's a takedown artist. He's been scoring them at will up until Mr. Heflin, the #1 seed, who came in here 28-1.
So Cox tries a little ankle trip. I don't know that there was much there.
No, went Steve Mocco for a second, huh?
Ducks down, tries a little half shot. Heflin backs off back to the middle of the mat.
It's smart by Heflin to bring it back to the middle. He gets pushed out again. He could get dinged, maybe.
Yeah, he did get dinged, so.
Yeah, that's right.
First stall warning, so that may be important later on. Have to put that in your back pocket.
Well, the Cox fans in Missouri are right behind us, guys. You can hear them from Columbia, Missouri. University of Missouri Tigers.
Cox is definitely the aggressor. He takes the action and pushes Heflin off the mat again. Not really a push as much as just Cox trying to dig inside for
He's bringing the action.
Takedown.
He's been a lot busier. Cox has been busy. Heflin's just kind of staying around. Probably kind of about everything we predicted.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, Cox, they're showing it up on the board. Cox has got 5 shots to 0 for Heflin.
Yeah, so, and there's another one. Well, at least he went in underneath the thigh, so.
I like that, excuse me, I like that new 1 point in freestyle for getting, for the out of bounds.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be very interesting if they thought about introducing that in NCAA collegiate style for the push out.
I think
forcing the action back to the center of the mat might be very, very interesting.
I would like to see them do that. I would think that would be interesting. Some have said that it would, too many people would worry about pushing at the edge. I think it forces us to wrestle in the middle of the mat.
Yeah, I think it would be worth experimenting with for a season.
Absolutely.
I know sumo wrestling fans would love it. But
it's working well in freestyle. I
yeah,
like it a lot.
It is. Keeps you in the middle of the cylinder. You're not playing the edge, you know. And I like now, though, you can score a takedown at the edge and then pin somebody out of bounds this year. That's sharp.
And the thing is that for years we always had people who would ride the edge and use that to their advantage. Well, now they have people who have to stay in the circle instead of trying to get out.
Oh, nice hip-to-hip follow there by Cox at Heflin. Heflin trying to do a set-out switch, a somersault roll.
Oh, Heflin's working all of a sudden. He hit a switch.
Oh, yeah,
there he goes.
Heflin
That's a second Granby.
Yeah, really nice Granby. So on his feet is Heflin. 1-1 is the score. 1 minute and 17 seconds left in this match.
He's got the underhook and pushing Cox.
And no riding time for Cox, by the way. 35 seconds.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this goes, guys. We got the Tigers against the Buckeyes. Missouri Tigers. Mizzou, which in wrestling, they're in the MAC now. They're not in the Big 12 anymore.
All right, so one of these guys is going to have a big explosive. I look at them to kind of feel each other out until there's an explosion here right near the end. Not sure who's going to shoot it. That's been Heflin's MO for most of his career, is to just hang around till the bitter end and then shoot one big shot.
I know you've commented his performance has been less than, what was your term? I mean, less than impressive, I think is what you said.
The thing, I guess, scramble with Cox. That's not the right place to be because I think Cox is a heck of a scrambler.
Push him out, and if you don't get a I was going to say push him out, and if you don't get a stall, then the referee is not paying attention to the match. So smart wrestling by a real young freshman.
Absolutely. So Heflin with the stalling. And it's 2-1 in favor of Cox with 25 seconds left in this match.
Smart wrestling by Cox. I like that. I was thinking in my mind, push him out. If this referee's paying attention, he's got to call stalling against Heflin.
So 15 seconds left. I don't think Heflin has the answer.
Well, Heflin got an injury default to win the first match.
Oh, Heflin in on a duck under, but Cox locks him up. Heflin's got a body lock on Cox. 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1. No, I think time ran out. Time ran out.
Wow. He's a true freshman.
He is a true freshman.
Yeah, he was in high school last year. He's a true freshman. He was winning state titles for his high school last year.
Boy.
Let me tell you something. What we saw the last 10 seconds, I love that.
Yeah.
I hope we see a little bit more of that in this championship.
You almost had some Bannock flashbacks, didn't you?
Yeah.
Some Eddie Lou Bannock
I
flashbacks.
love when they go mano upper body like that and go for the throw. I don't know why they don't do. I don't know why that is like it's a dying art form in NCAA wrestling. It's unfortunate.
Your good friends Bannock could do it the whole match.
Yeah.
Both of them.
So one thing that's happening right now, it's something that they've added to added to wrestling this year, but they're all with time at the end of the match that they're reviewing it. So the unfortunate part of it is
This isn't even close.
Yep, is that Heflin has to stand out there in the middle of the mat.
Yeah, he does. He's required
when
to.
he'd probably like to be somewhere else. He knows it's too late. He's got his hand out. He'd just like to get out of there.
And Brian Smith, the coach for Missouri, and two-time national champion, world champion Sammy Henson in the corner for the Missouri Tigers.
All right, and it's official.
Freshman.
So the photo finish was looked at, and it's official now. So, sometimes the old adage is you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
And
Heflin waited a little too long, and
He had Cox in a very compromised position there right before he let that fly. If he had another 10 seconds, he would have at least gotten the 2, maybe more.
Yep, that'll nag on him for a long, long time.
Sure will.
Doesn't that always happen? If I had only this, that, the other thing, if I had another 5 seconds?
Yep. So
as Cox is just getting started, and Heflin is exiting his college career for the Ohio State Buckeyes. So Gwizdowski's up next. Billy Baldwin's going to love this one. And Tony Nelson, the big guys. The big Gwiz against Tony Nelson. So, call him the Gwizinator. He's tough. He's good. He's a real deal.
Yep. So we saw Tony Nelson last year with win his title with the victory over Mike McMullen from Northwestern. Mike McMullen came back and got a 3rd place finish this year. And McMullen, again, a really nice finish. He placed 3rd this year. I think that Northwestern team's going to be got a pretty good nucleus with McMullen and Surtsas coming back.
I like that kid, Surtsas. I love his passion. I love his enthusiasm.
Yeah, younger brother.
I was sitting with his brother and his father, and his brother was up in the stands screaming, and he went 7 minutes himself up in the stands.
And he did. You got to watch Alex. We had the privilege of watching his brother wrestle for years for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and we're both out of the great state of Indiana, so some good Indiana preps coming out of that great Hoosier state as well. Congratulations to both of them. All right, we'll talk about the big guys. Jeff Murphy, a good friend over here, he's already touched on them some, but it's going to happen. And Tony Nelson, the big guy from Minnesota, trying to go for his 3rd title. And Gwizdowski, again, you're saying he's a sophomore, correct?
He's a redshirt sophomore. He was an All-American for Binghamton as a freshman, transferred his sophomore year and redshirted. So this is his 3rd year, but his 2nd year of eligibility.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you're going to see out of this next match is going to be a little bit like the last one, where Tony Nelson, a little bit slower, methodical wrestler, kind of a little bit like Heflin. Gwizdowski, a little bit more athletic, can do a few more things like Cox. I don't think you'll see Tony Nelson wait till the very last second to try to do what he's going to do.
No, he's got 2 falls. He had his first one, Nelson did, in 4 minutes and 23 seconds. Then he pinned a real tough Medberry from Wisconsin Badgers in 1 minute and 26 seconds. Then a 4-2 win over Bobby Telford of Iowa. Gwizdowski's had a 6-2, a 6-3, a real solid 4-1, and a 5-4 against a real tough Adam Chelfrom from Indiana.
But this heavyweight weight class, Nelson, Gwizdowski, McMullen, McClure, Chalfant. I mean, this isn't a heavyweight class from 30 years ago. These guys are fast, they're quick, they're athletic, they're agile, they're lean, they're muscular. These aren't heavyweights from days ago.
Yeah, not the Jimmy Jackson, Chris Taylor guys, huh?
Yep. So there's Gwizdowski coming out on the mat.
Here comes Gwiz. He's tough.
Gwiz weighed 225. He was 197 pounder your senior year of high school. He weighed 225 last year. They beefed him up a little bit.
We'll try to get his weight here in a second. Yep. They claim he weighed 249.2 pounds. Yeah, Nick Gwizdowski.
Wait till you see how small he looks standing next to Nelson.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Gwizdowski out of Dellenson, New York, now with North Carolina State, as Billy had said, was a redshirt sophomore, but as a freshman back at Binghamton, was an All-American. And Tony Nelson out of Cambridge, Minnesota, wrestling for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Nelson working on his third consecutive NCAA title here tonight.
I tell you, Minnesota's been blessed with some of the greatest heavyweights in the last decade or two. They've had some great ones.
Watch on Nelson though. He's got he's long everywhere. Long arms, long torso, big long hips and legs, and that's what Gwizdowski likes about him. When they've matched up a couple times, he's got him deep on that double leg, on that quick short snatch single. He's not one of those super low center of gravity, very powerful heavyweights that has a very low center of gravity. He's exposed.
Gwizdowski reminds me a little of Travell DeLeg. I don't know if he quite has the thighs that Travell is, or tree trunks, but he's big, he's solid, and he's real strong. But Nelson trying to go for his third. He weighed in at 264.2 pounds, so we'll throw him up at 265, 250 for Gwizdowski. So Nick from North Carolina State gives up 15 pounds. But Nelson's had some falls. He had a slump in the middle of the season. One thing that Gwizdowski doesn't have in common in all those heavyweights that either Billy or Jeff Murphy brought up, he's not in the Big Ten. Big Ten, it was the who's who in heavyweight this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think 8 of the top 10 ranked heavyweights in the final poll were out of the Big Ten. And we watched them all collide heads.
Kuhn was ranked #1 in the country and finished #9 in the Big Ten.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we saw him lose 2 in a row.
That right there tells you all you need to know.
Yep. So the Big Ten loses a few guys this year. They lose Tony Nelson as a senior, McClure as a senior, but they got a lot of great juniors back. Telford and McMullen, Chalfont, they're all back as juniors. So I think you're going to continue to see that legacy of great heavyweights coming out of the Big Ten.
I want to watch Tony Nelson because I'm a big fan of both of these guys, but after he's done, we'll talk about wonder what the future holds with Minnesota. They've kind of dominated this weight class for a while. Goes clear back to Benjamin Shelton and Brock Lesnar, and King Cole Conrad. He won some titles for him. They've had some big Norwegian guys up there in the state of Minnesota, eating a lot of pork chops and sauerkraut.
Yeah.
Tough people up there.
Paul Bunyan type.
Yeah, Minnesota. Up there in cold country. Probably shoveling all that snow. That's how they get those big shoulders, those fire mammal shoulder blades.
And they had plenty of that this year.
They did. University of Minnesota out of Minneapolis, just north of downtown Minneapolis. The University of Minnesota is, so one of the few colleges.
NC State. NC State does not have a lot of fans here. Not as many as I.
Himself back in the day too. Not too many days ago, just a few. So we won't talk about age. We'll keep that out of the scenario here. So because I walk around like a wounded soldier here.
Yep.
Collar tying right now. Just kind of.
All right, so they've had a chance to feel each other out.
This is going to play to Nelson's advantage if nobody gets a takedown in the first period. Gwiz is going to need a takedown in the first period here to keep this competitive. He's got to keep the pressure on this kid.
Got to pull the trigger. He's going to pull the trigger. Nelson, you notice how far back he's keeping those long legs.
Yeah, he keeps those legs way back.
It's harder to hit the target when that's farther away from you.
Looks to me like if you got Tony set up right, you could just arm drag him so easily, but...
Yeah, the way he goes forward, maybe throw down. But Gwizdowski, he attacked the leg. So, and he came close. He starts that over at this corner. He would have got him, but they started in the middle and they went out of bounds. So.
All right, so there's your first period with a 0-0 score. At the
I don't like it.
Period.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. He's playing. I think he's kind of playing into Tony Nelson's prey.
All right,
Tony's tough on top.
Gwizdowski with the. Takes down to start the second period.
He likes to break you down and throw in a Jake Varner half Nelson.
On those legs, and he puts so much pressure down on his chest in the middle of his opponent's back.
Well, I know
so tough to get up.
Minnesota fans call it the Tony half Nelson.
Yeah.
They actually have called it that.
Well, I think the thing is
his last name.
If you can find Gwizdowski almost accomplishes that. He slides Tony off, and
good advice, Jeff Murphy.
you just got to get
Don't
him.
want to get parallel with him.
He plants square his back on you. You got to get out a little bit to the side, and you can slide off. And he gets up to his feet and almost gets out, but they go off the mat.
Gwiz did it about the time Jeff Murphy mentioned it. So
back to center and caution on Nelson.
Nelson's got a lot of downforce on you.
Yeah.
Doesn't have much of dummy. He's working with a six-pack out there, so not a lot of body fat on Tony Nelson.
No.
He's just real strong.
Gwizdowski up to his hands and his feet, but Nelson again with that same pressure, kind of a spiral ride type thing, halfway.
I've met and interviewed Tony's dad, and his dad and him could be twins.
And now Tony Nelson's got Gwizdowski broke down to the mat, and that's exactly where Tony wants him to be.
This is where he will crank you over. He puts in the Tony half Nelson.
They
call it the crowbar up in Minnesota.
Great big long body, but Gwizdowski back up to his base, and Tony breaks him down again.
Boy,
a minute left in this second period.
I've talked to some wrestlers been in it. They said you either get pinned or get your neck broke. That's the conclusion you come to. So Gwiz doing a good job though, coming back up to his stances. Not staying down there. So
got Nelson a little bit off to the side if he can slide a little more.
There's that angle you've been talking about.
Got to get out from under that angle. All that pressure down on your back, but Nelson gets that leg in or that hand in and against that thigh. And the referee calls a stalling call on Nelson.
Wow, parallel riding maybe. So Jay Robinson and Brandon Eggman don't like it.
No, Minnesota fans don't think much of it either.
Right,
so we got a little blood, it looks like.
On the eye of Gwizdowski, I think his left eye, or they got bumped heads or something happened. It's due to contact, I can promise you that. Wrestling is a contact sport.
So Billy, if we make the assumption, which is an assumption, but Gwizdowski doesn't get out, what's he do in the third period?
I don't know. I don't really know Nelson's reputation on bottom. He's got to be a Brahma bull, right? I mean, he's a difficult.
It's hard to ride.
Yeah,
he's just real strong.
Gwizdowski's very good on his feet. I guess he's down on riding time here. Maybe you cut him and go on your feet.
Or you just both start on your feet. Tony's going to get the choice. So Tony's going to get the choice, so he'll take down.
Oh yeah, Nelson gets the choice.
I'd cut him.
Yeah, I think you got to cut him. I think so too. You just waste time if you're trying to ride him.
North Carolina getting up to his feet. North Carolina State.
Obviously, Nelson with 1 minute and 45 seconds now riding time.
So here we go, guys. There's another. Darian Caldwell came out of North Carolina State a few years back and did the impossible, beating Brett Metcalf.
All right.
Gwizdowski do the same.
So
it's Nelson.
Nelson rides him out the entire second period. So
2 minutes exactly.
Yep, 0-0 on the scoreboard. But if the riding time holds up, Nelson's up 1-0 right now.
So here's what he's going to do. Or wait a minute, he's thinking about it.
He says stand him up. He's going to give him 1 point, not waste a second of time cutting him. Stand him up. So Nelson with the point for the escape, and both wrestlers start on their feet. It's 1-0 in favor of Tony Nelson, but 2 minutes of riding time. So effectively 2-0.
Yeah, Nelson's really been, really the true shot though was from Gwiz. See, and there's another one. See, and he's closer in the middle. He's in the middle.
Really nice single that almost gets away, and he switches to a double.
Nelson's
he's got it.
That's huge. Mathematically, he could get rid of the riding time.
Does he cut him?
Boy, get rid of the riding time.
Yeah, I'd try to ride him as long as I could. I'd see if I get that riding time off.
If he can ride Nelson,
that's a long time to ride.
You're right.
I think if he could get that riding time down under a minute, and then maybe go to your second tier of strategy.
Gwizdowski doing a little Tony Nelson to Tony Nelson.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? He arm chopped him there at the end.
And of course, the Minnesota fans think there ought to immediately be a stalling call, and Nelson with. I don't know what Nelson's
injury
time out.
Injury time.
This is big. Coach Popolizio's telling him to go on his feet.
Absolutely. And then I'd go take him down.
This is critical
and then
strategy.
you can ride him for that 30 seconds. I'd go do it right now. Yeah, you can't mess around. He's got to go take him down immediately. And if he does, then he's got this match well
I'm
on.
telling you, Nelson wants nothing to do with this kid on his feet. He wants nothing to do with him.
He's Gwizdowski's owned him on takedowns. Gwiz has. He's had him on.
Here they are. They're on their feet.
Yeah. All right. Going to start on their feet. I don't know if that was the best move in the world for Tony Nelson. Depends how bad he was really hurt, but it doesn't look like it's too bad.
got it all taped up. They put a lot of medical tape on it.
All right, 1 minute and 4 seconds left.
See, Gwizdowski needs to take some shots.
Oh, Nelson in on a shot. Really nice shot by Tony Nelson.
And he's powerful.
Both ankles, but Gwizdowski with really heavy hips and a nice sprawl.
Great hips by Gwizdowski. Stalemate. Nelson wants a stalemate, I promise you.
Yep, because he's not in any position.
Nelson wanted a step.
Oh, but Gwizdowski tries to spin around, and Nelson does step out. All right, 36 seconds to go.
2-2 technically with the riding time in favor of Nelson.
Yep.
So.
Oh, and Gwizdowski in on a single leg.
He's in there deep on a shot. So.
Oh, Nelson with the crossface.
Oh, I'll tell you what.
No, that's the two. Gwizdowski with the
technique. That's technique.
The Penn State fans are loving it right now. They're going nuts because Gwizdowski, with 12 seconds left, Tony Nelson just flat on the mat. Gwizdowski keeping 1 foot in the cylinder.
That's big for Gwizdowski.
And Gwizdowski with the big win, and Penn State going nuts.
Tony Nelson does not become a 3-time champion.
No.
But Gwizdowski could. He's a sophomore.
Yeah, Gwizdowski, great move. I think that was wonderful.
That's big for Gwizdowski, guys, in North Carolina State Wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, he got Tony in that position a couple times where he just kind of takes that knee and tilts him.
Yeah.
You need 4 legs on a chair, 4 legs on a table, but you get those legs out from underneath you. Nelson could not get his foot planted.
Yeah.
He had to go down. It was a law of physics.
Yeah, Nelson probably could have thrown in a whizzer there right at the end. It looked like he tried kind of half-heartedly and then couldn't get it quite there. So, you know, once Tony Nelson was able, or did not get that takedown, that last-second takedown that he tried, you know, you just knew he was in trouble.
Gwizdowski with the win, North Carolina State, big over Tony Nelson.
Yeah.
4-2. Nelson had 1 minute and 10 seconds riding time, but because of that takedown, really, when they were on their feet, Gwizdowski knew how to get in on Nelson, and he knew how to get him off balance. That was the difference maker.
So Penn State now with 105.5
I want to hear
to 104 lead.
Can you hear me? Okay. I'm sorry, my voice is pretty shot right now, guys, but I can't tell you. One of my greatest moments in all the years I've been coming to this tournament since the late 1970s, right there, Nick Gwizdowski beating Tony Nelson.
That's big. Billy Baldwin knows Gwizdowski well, so that's like having part of your family win, right, Billy?
Oh my goodness, I can't tell you how much that means to me.
Like 2010 when Zabriskie won his heavyweight title. He was my adopted
national champion, only a sophomore. Watch, he may win 3.
He could 3-peat. He just beat the young man.
And you know what? It couldn't happen to a nicer kid, Gwizdowski and Pat Popolizio. Just top. That's a 1.5 spread.
So
watch what he does with this NC State program. You know, he's got a lot of support with Debbie Yao as the athletic director there.
Yep.
And, you know, that just put him inside the top 20 in the country. And for his second year there to take NC State, who's had great individuals, but hasn't had great team results, and have them in the top, and believe me, he'll have 8 kids here in 2 or 3 years. He'll have 6 All-Americans, and these guys will be in the top 5 or 6 in no time. Give it 2 years.
North Carolina State, I had a little flashback of Darian Caldwell when he beat Brent Metcalf. He was a North Carolina State wrestler as well.
Absolutely.
So it's cool zenith, don't you, Jeff?
Absolutely. So hey, we go. Here we're going to go to the little guys. So we got to turn back the pages of the
big to little.
All right. So we got 2 really fun wrestlers to watch here at 125 pounds, and we'll go from a lot of standing around to a whole lot of action.
Yeah, this is going to be fireworks. And Delgado from Illinois, the Fighting Illini out of the Big Ten, he's going to want to score first.
Yep. Jesse Delgado from Gilroy, California, the garlic capital of the world. I'd like you to know I've been there.
Nice.
And Delgado versus Nashawn Garrett from Cornell from Chico, California. So 2 California young men who grew up not too far from one another out here wrestling for a national title. Of course, Delgado was the champion last year. Garrett placed 3rd. Delgado the number 1 seed. Garrett, the number 2 seed this year. Delgado with a record of 29-2, and Garrett with a record of 34-1. Billy was talking earlier, Steve, when we first went on the air about teams for next year. Circle the Cornell Big Red with a great Big Red circle, because Sean Garrett coming back next year, he's just a sophomore. True freshman Dean. Real Bruto is a freshman. He'll be back. They've just got a lot of really good kids. Gray's young. His brother's the coach. One of the coaches, Gray is. Again, they brought 8 wrestlers to this tournament, and only Nevinger at 141 is going to graduate. So they got 7 returning qualifiers. Now it's interesting because Sean Garrett with an explosive takedown right off the bat, but no points yet because
Delgado does that gator roll stuff. Yep. He's amazing at this.
Yep. Delgado rolls and rolls and rolls.
I thought Garrett had him dead center.
Absolutely. And now sort of a Boston Crab
got the flag out.
Yeah. Well, I thought he did too. And Hahn takes the flag out and waves the challenge flag, and the referees are going to go watch us. And Steve, if we look up, I'll bet we can see it too. Yeah, let's pay attention. Great reminder there, Jeff Murphy, that we can see this all over again. But we've got a big screen TV up here, about half the size of the one in Steve Foster's living room. Yeah, that's right around my garage. That's my big one. All right, here it comes. In my man cave. All right. No, he never did. Absolutely. Delgado is a pro at making what you think is great turn into nothing. Yep, because immediately when Garrett came in and hit him with a really outstanding double leg, as he was falling over backwards, he grabbed a thigh and he had to hold that leg the whole time. Well, I wonder if Mike Smith. Watch his hand right here on the thigh, right there. He's got the thigh. No takedown. No control. I don't think that was a takedown at all. I don't either. No. Delgado's great at this, guys. That's why he's so effective. Delgado rolls and rolls. We've seen it, Tice. We made the call. You guys that are refereeing, you might as well move on. Let's get started again. Yeah, that's right. Jeff Murphy called. And they have to have indisputable video evidence. Yeah. All right. And you can review all calls except for a fall. Cannot review a fall. Another shot. It happens fast. Pay attention. Okay, well, yeah. All right, all of our listeners are going to pay attention because they can see it. Well, hopefully they're watching it with their volume down and listening to us. Yeah, that means you're good, my dad always said. Yeah. You're good play-by-play when they're watching it, but listening to you. Garrett never was really around behind him, and Delgado had the leg the whole time. I think that's not 2. I think that is... I think it's a great strategy to neutralize it by Delgado. Yep. If it's anything but, I don't know. So, yeah, I think it's a good call. Both wrestlers on their feet. They're ready to go, and the referee signifies we're off. So 2:40 left in this first period. Okay, Delgado, he's got some what I'd call trickery. Yep. You know, I don't know what other term. People use the word funk a lot. Gilroy, California. What capital are they again? Garlic capital. Big shot. Garrett's just explosive. It's like he loads up and they shoot him out of a gun. He explodes into Delgado, but Delgado grabs the legs immediately. The gator roll. He gets that gator roll every time. Shoelace to shoelace. Yep. Delgado actually likes the shoelace to shoelace. Watch this. He just watch what he does. Lives in that position. Now he's trying to crawl out the back, but I think Garrett's got his legs. Delgado's good at this. But
if this was a freestyle match, Delgado would be down about 10-0.
Yeah, exactly. But the referee calls a stalemate, and they go back to center, and it's still 0-0 with a minute and 30 seconds left in this first period. And I think our fearless leader from Field is here, isn't he? Watching today. All right, now what are we doing? No,
he couldn't make it. He had an accident. He had his arm reconstructed. He broke his arm in a car accident in Uzbekistan. Nanad Lalovich. He was supposed to come in for the World Cup and for the NCAAs, but he had this accident a couple weeks ago. He's got some representatives here, but Nanad himself is not here.
Our thoughts and prayers go out to him.
So we're back to another coach's challenge. I suppose they I'm not sure.
Do another one.
I didn't think they got more than one. I didn't think the coach had more than one challenge.
That's not 2. I would not give that 2.
Well, and maybe the first one was a referee's decision to go and look at it, and this one is a coach's challenge. I think I don't know.
That's a waste of a challenge right there.
Well, we know Garrett loves the low double, and we know that Delgado's got the trickery, as I always say, to neutralize it. So no takedown again. No takedown. I think it's a good call again. I mean,
we got the refs all mic. Sounds like pro football when we do that.
Yeah, that's right. Rob Cole's on his feet there for Cornell.
All right, so both wrestlers back at the center of the mat. 1 minute and 21 seconds left in this period.
Mark Perry about ready to come off his chair there for the Fighting Illini, two-time national champ for the Iowa Hawkeyes back in the day. And yes, was his brother wrestling earlier, getting the title. Chris Perry for Oklahoma State Cowboys.
So it's like two cats out there. Just
yeah, they are. And both
other.
These guys are.
I hate to jump ahead, guys, but what do you think Ness's strategy is here? You know, when you know you got Taylor following you, Taylor's, you know, you're going to need an elephant gun to beat him.
Ness has got to go for the fall, but it's the perfect guy.
But you don't want to lose the title getting sloppy going for the fall.
Yeah,
if Ness gets the fall and Taylor gets the win, I think Penn State still wins, don't they?
If Ness gets a fall and Taylor gets a win, I think Minnesota wins by a half a point.
Wow. Here comes Delgado out the back door. He's a pro coming out the back door and getting points.
Yeah, but
he's great at it.
Garrett still got his leg. Nothing
yet. Now Garrett does a little of his own game.
They go out of bounds. So all tied up in knots.
These guys are going to need some knee braces when they're done.
Yeah, so 26 seconds left in the first period.
I guarantee you legs.
Now the green refs are saying
Mark Perry's out there fighting Illini.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've had more challenges in this one match than we had all.
Garrett might have been enough to neutralize it. We'll soon find out.
Could you imagine, Steve, as you think back in the history of these finals and some of the controversial matches that you've seen over time, what would have happened if they had the challenge? How some things would have been different over the years?
That's why I like it. That's why I like it.
Yeah, I do too, Billy. Yeah.
You know, why not? Human error is always part of sports, but if you have the technology to get it right, well, why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly right. I realize it slows things down just a little bit, but
this isn't a slow sport, okay? This isn't a 1-0 pitching duel or a 1-1 pitching duel in the 14th inning with 17 pitching changes where we are stopping the game to go to video replay 9 times. Okay, this is one of the most explosive, entertaining sports known to man.
We've always referred
to him. Slow it down to get it right, so be it.
We've always referred to them as the best conditioned, hardest working athletes in the world, and they are the toughest too.
So again, the referees say we got it right the first time.
I remember interviewing Dan Deerdorf once, and he said, add to your list, Steve Foster, the toughest athletes in the world too. He did both. Played football and wrestled in college, Dan Deerdorf.
10 seconds left in this first period.
So here we go, guys.
I'll take that back. They're not two cats. They're like two mongoose out there.
Yeah,
they're just ready to spring.
Boy, Delgado in on a shot.
I don't think I've seen a period with more action that ended 0-0 in a long time.
That's exactly right.
It can happen occasionally.
All right. So Delgado's going to start on the bottom.
He usually likes a lead. It's going to be interesting to see. A lot of times we've seen him get the lead and then kind of put off the charges.
0-0. Delgado immediately up to his feet. Garrett takes him back to the mat, and they roll around even when going back to the mat.
Tough ride here by Garrett from Cornell. Delgado on the bottom. Both these young guys, California preps out of the great state of California.
Delgado back up to his feet.
Delgado came with Coach Mark Perry to Champaign-Urbana, Illinois.
I got to tell you, I don't mean to gloat, but I talked to a lot of people leading into the finals, and I heard a lot of buzz at the restaurants between the sessions and at the hotel lobbies between the sessions. And there weren't a lot of people thinking that Gwizdowski stood a chance against Nelson. I kept saying, don't bet on it. Don't bet on it.
I play neutral, but my money, if I was a bet man, would have been on Minnesota. But
well, I mean, it was like David and Goliath, the two guys standing next to each other. Nelson's a total specimen.
And he's won 2 already.
Gwizdowski's technique
is awesome.
Is superb.
His takedown technique is unstoppable.
He weighs 250, but he moves like a 97-pounder.
All right, there's a stall call for Garrett because Delgado has been up on his feet, and Garrett could not take him back to the mat.
Gwizdowski does a good job with using the law of physics too. Those little leg tilts he does like that. That removes your table leg. Nelson was not able to plant a foot.
Yeah.
The law of physics kicked in, and he had no other way to do but to go down like a big lumberjack.
Well, we got to give an assist to Delagnev because Delagnev worked with him diligently on his feet.
Yeah, Travell.
So Travell, hats off to you. You get an assist.
So we've got 45 seconds left in this first period. Garrett does have riding time now.
Yes,
He's
he
got a minute
does.
and 22 seconds. And as we say that, Delgado escapes. So 1-0 in favor of Delgado. 30 seconds left in the first period. Delgado in on a shot. In between the head, in between the legs.
Trying to cut the corner here, see if he can't come across. These two have been connected to each other like
Delgado. Garrett's got an ankle. Well, now I think that's two, yeah. And so Delgado out to the 3-0 lead now as the second period slowly comes to a close here.
Yep, he's getting rid of that riding time that Garrett had. So Delgado wrestling a real good match.
Yep. So 3-0 in favor of Delgado. He does have some riding time. So Garrett has some riding time, minute and 14 seconds. So Garrett says, I am not going to go underneath. I want to start in the neutral position. So
Garrett, I don't know if he's going to be trick or shy or not, but he's going to have to stop that gator roll situation that Delgado does such a good job neutralizing those double legs.
And there you go, Delgado running.
Yeah, he's
backing up and running.
Before. He gets the lead, and then he puts on kind of a show here.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, it was really embarrassing a little bit at the
Big Tens.
Big Tens.
He did the Big Tens. We couldn't believe he didn't get dinged for stalling.
And there is the stalling.
That's not going to let him get away.
They called that early.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the ref says, "Hey, guess what? You're going to have to wrestle."
Not tonight. Not tonight. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go.
Yeah. You're going to have to wrestle. You can't just do the 15-yard dash and reverse.
Yep. Garrett just needs to keep shooting. Delgado tries to shoot in to grab a leg so that he can kill some
He's
time.
still playing the edge, though.
Yep.
You can tell it.
Yep, look at that. Right off the
That was smart by Delgado.
Yeah, Delgado circled back in.
That was smart.
Garrett's just got to keep pushing.
Stay in that psyche of the ref. I mean, yes.
The other thing you can't lose sight of, it's 3-0. 3-1 effectively right now. So Garrett could tie it up here with a takedown.
Yeah, he's got that riding time right now. 1 minute, 14 seconds of riding time.
All right, so
minute 5 left in the third period.
Delgado on a little shot so he can effectively not really get the takedown but hang.
And look how he wants to tie up and take up time.
A minute left in the match.
He wants to eat up time as we watch the Delgado.
Oh, Garrett in with a really quick.
There's Delgado again with that gator roll, grabbing the ankles, shoelace to shoelace. He loves the shoelace to shoelace.
Oh, and he's coming out the back.
Usually he does get this. His leg, I don't know how knees turn that way. I have no idea.
Potentially dangerous.
As Garrett continues to put a little pressure on it, he can go limp leg. I've heard a limp arm, that's a move, but he's got a limp leg.
I'm telling you what, Garrett just striking like a cobra out there.
Yeah. Wow. Problem is, Delgado neutralizes it.
And Delgado in on a shot.
Smart by him, smart strategy, because he's got a stall warning.
That's right. Have a little action. Delgado backing off, but this time he takes a little half shot at the edge so that...
Fleeing the mat anymore, and he...
Yeah.
Perry looked at the ref.
16
Why isn't
seconds
that
left
stalling?
here. Delgado backing up towards the edge.
At this point, I don't blame him.
Yeah. There's a stalling call on Delgado and 1 point for Garrett. So it's 3-2.
Wow, it's tied with the riding time.
Yeah.
It's tied with the riding time. That just changed everything.
No, 3-2
with riding
time.
Okay.
Yep.
Nothing. Yeah.
Takedowns, nice shots there by Garrett, but Delgado just staying busy. That's it. Two-time NCAA champion Jesse Delgado for the Fighting Illini out of the great city of Champaign, Urbana.
Great match, a lot of action.
That was fun, you know. That was fun. Well, I tell you, Delgado just has the answer for those takedowns. Illinois gets a national champion. There you go, guys. 2 California kids.
Take a picture of Gwizdowski.
Yep. All right, so really nice 125-pound class. Really exciting 125-pound class.
Next up, we got a rematch of a rematch of a rematch of a rematch of a rematch. So these guys have definitely met each other often because they're both high caliber. They're both very successful. And guess what? They both happen to be in the same college conference, named the Big Ten.
Oh, before we go there, let's talk for just 1 second. Delgado, junior, he'll be back. Garrett, sophomore, he'll be back. Megaludis is a junior, he'll be back. Dance, who placed 4th, is a freshman. He'll be back. 5th place, Clark, a freshman. 6th place, Peters, a freshman. 7th place, Cruz, a freshman. 8th place, Hall, a sophomore. Every one of these All-Americans is going to be back for another crack at it next year.
Wow.
Boy, the 125-pound class is loaded.
Can we have the 2 California kids again next year, or will it change? You know, I mean, think of all the great little guys that's come out of California. It's Stephen Abbas, Eric Guerrero, of course Hisudo, the 2 brothers. You know, winning a gold medal doing college.
Little guy named Jake Varner.
The big guy. Yeah, that's right. The big bad blonde. Yeah. Jake Varner, Jake the Snake.
Won a bunch of titles and some Olympic games or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Olympic gold medalist for another gold for Iowa State University.
All right, so I'm not exactly sure what Delgado said, but some were happy and some weren't. So they're interviewing each of the wrestlers as they come off the mat, showing it on the big screen over the loudspeakers. So kind of a nice tribute to each one of the guys.
Don't watch it. So that's what got the fans all stirred up for Delgado.
Well, he said one thing right. It is the Mark Perry style, because that's exactly how Perry wrestled.
He really did, man. Him and Johnny Hendricks and
for those who had folks that were challenging Perry for a title, it was frustrating as all get out.
Gosh, you can ask the Polsons. Travis Polson, I think wrestled him more than Trent, obviously, and then of course Johnny Hendricks, the showdown with him, and then Matt the Rat Pell was in there too from Missouri. One of my favorites to watch back in the day was Matt Pell from University of Missouri Tigers. They're giving out the awards.
All right, Mike McMullen looks a lot different with his glasses on.
Tony Nelson's on the second stand, but he's taller than the guy in the first place again. We've seen that more once today.
Second place stand.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
There's your national
champ, Billy Baldwin. Wisdowski wins it for the Wolfpack. North Carolina State Wolfpack gets their national champion. Had we had one since Darian or not from North Carolina State, Darian Caldwell?
Oh, this is the first one since Darian.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, good-looking sophomore, Wisdowski is. And great job for him.
I hate to say
hey, when you're right, you're right. You need to right.
How good is that kid on his feet?
Yeah, he's dangerously good. He's dangerously good, so yeah.
You don't see that in the heavyweight a lot. He has a problem. Who's the kid from Lehigh that was the heavyweight that won it last 2 years ago?
Zach Ray.
And Flores from American, those guys that have the lower center of gravity.
Yeah.
If he shoots and he doesn't get deep penetration and you get a sprawl heavy on the head with those guys that have that low center of gravity, powerful, great counter wrestlers, and they have explosive quickness, he would get the snap down, go behind. You know, he gets snapped down a lot. But he's gotten wiser on his feet, you know. I apologize again for this laryngitis, man.
We got the same thing going on.
One minute I sound like Clint Eastwood, and the next minute I sound like my mother.
What kind of inventory do you have on those throat lozenges, by the way? What kind of inventory? Don't give me all yours. You're going to need more. Are they? That's fine. No problem.
So let's look ahead to the 133-pound class.
I'd appreciate it.
2 great wrestlers here that have seen each other many, many times in the 133-pound class. You've got Tony Ramos out of the University of Iowa. He's out of Carroll Stream, Illinois originally. He's a senior, and he came into this tournament with a 31-2 record this year. Ramos lost to A.J. Shop early and Joe Colon, I believe, this year.
Colon pinned him in just a little over a minute in the Midlands. Joe Colon, the number 1 seed.
Yep.
Ended up taking third.
Our other contestant here in the 133-pound class is Tyler Graff from the University of Wisconsin. He comes out of Loveland, Colorado. He is also a senior, and Graff came into this tournament with a 31-4 record. So Graff and Ramos have met a number of times over the years, and this is the Iowa Hawkeyes' lone representative here in the finals. The Iowa Hawkeyes are in a little bit of a strange position, Steve, because
they are.
They're sitting out in 4th at 74.5, long way out of the team race, and they actually have 4th locked up no matter what happens here in this match.
And you know, Jeff, what we saw the Hawkeyes in the Big Ten, I really thought they'd be in this team race, because I mean they put it on Penn State in the Big Ten, and they made Penn State literally earn that thing by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, when we talked last week on Takedown Radio, one of the things I talked about was the Hawkeyes really in this team race. I really came thinking that they were going to be the team to challenge Penn State, and it just didn't happen. I'm not exactly certain what happened. I'm not exactly certain why, but they just didn't look like themselves. So
yeah, they didn't. It seemed like they were a little trigger shy.
Yeah.
You know, we're used to the Iowa Hawkeyes that run back and they're the first people back to the circle, and that hasn't always been the case this weekend.
So one of the things that's really interesting about this match is Tony Ramos, and he's been very outspoken that he's going to win this title. And so
50. She said 25. I got a right to stand up. I've been to 25 of these.
So for the last 2 years, Ramos has talked, and obviously it's everyone's goal, but he's been very outspoken. Last year he fell one match short. He was the runner-up to Logan Stieber right here in this title. This year he's going to get another chance at it, and this time he's going to face another foe who he's known and wrestled many times in college draft.
Yeah, you know, and they've had so many tight matches. Ramos has kind of had the upper hand over the last few, but
so they're announcing how many people have been here and asking people to stand for those. And a gentleman over in the crowd was standing, and he'd been to these NCAA tournaments for 60 years or more. And he's I think the one lone guy in the crowd.
Pretty awesome. I think Mike Chapman's getting close to 50. I think Mike Chapman and I wouldn't be surprised if Beverly, his wife's been to every one of them with him, because they're like that. I know them good. They were good friends of mine. They've been to about 50, but I know Jim Dushin, he said since 62, he's missed 2 since 1962.
So it gets in your blood. Here we go. The wrestlers are being introduced. And coming out of the red corner.
Graf's been around a long time, guys. I think he took a red shirt. He took a Olympic red shirt. This is at least his 6th year of participating. Could be his 7th.
So Graf,
Tony Ramos beating his chest. He's going to do the stare down against Tyler Graf. But
all right. So quite honestly, Steve, we all know that there's a good Hawkeye Wrestling Club party here later tonight somewhere in this city. And if Ramos wins, it'll be a festive event, even though they haven't exactly performed like they want. And if Ramos loses, it could be really solemn.
Ramos doing the stare down, stomping his feet like he always does. He stares his opponent down. But I have to admit, usually it works, but in the Midlands, that stare down didn't scare Joe Colon at all. Joe Colon came out and tossed Ramos on his back and pinned him. So actually, I think it gave Colon some extra incentive.
Yeah, personally. The crowd's excited. They're on their feet.
Crowd is into it now.
Absolutely. You know,
Ramos has been in the finals 2 other times. This is his 3rd try.
So here we go. The referee indicates let's go, and the 2 men immediately step forward and collar tie.
He's lost 2 real controversial losses here. So I think it was Oliver, and then last year Stieber.
Yeah.
A lot of the Hawk fans had pictures of Ramos with Stieber pinned, but you got to hold him that.
And
so those still photos you can't tell.
Stieber beat Oliver too in a very controversial match as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Stieber and Oliver really, that was controversial as well. But
yeah, I don't know if Stieber had that too on the edge of the mat at that point.
We called that one. I think we were calling it.
It was very controversial.
It was. So Ramos, he's probably thinking it's time to get a little payback incorporated here, maybe.
Well, Ramos is probably glad for this referee's review too and the challenge flags.
Yeah, the new plan. Exactly, Jeff Murphy. Because the Graf's tough.
Yep, Graf on a little half shot. Ramos counters it.
I did a little research in their careers. Graf actually had the upper hand and beat Ramos a couple times when they were younger, but as of recent, it's been Tony Ramos's in tight races. I mean, the Big Tens, that could have went either way.
Absolutely.
I know Ramos had a tight match with Cash Karoga from Purdue. He won that with no time left.
All right, we got lots of fans going behind us here. The Iowa Hawkeyes are right behind us. Oh my goodness! I didn't have to see that.
He's got his back shaved, so.
Oh my goodness!
We have a Hawk fan with his shirt off standing behind us. Let's just say he needs to hit the Jenny Craig program immediately.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And he needs a Jenny Craig and electrolysis. He's shaved into his back hair. Go Hawks.
Yeah, on his back. So.
In his back hair.
Never forget that fan stems from the word fanatic.
That's how they get it. And I don't know if they can put that on camera or not. Would they have to change their rating maybe? Would have to go to R rating?
Well, they don't want the ratings to plunge.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true too.
I'm not sure I can see the mat anymore. It burned my retinas out.
Real fast. Ramos has had some close
matches. There's the first real shot. Ramos in on a single leg, and he's deep on Calls Graf for a stalling call.
Right.
For evading the mat?
Yep, for fleeing the mat, although that's not there anymore, so we got a stalling call instead.
Yep, they call it the stall call.
Probably the right call on that one.
You don't see Stamos blow an opportunity like that very often. He was in real deep on that.
Barry Davis is probably coaching from the stands, a 3-time national champ from Iowa. And when his guys go out in the national championship, he usually sets up in the stands and jumps up and around. I haven't been able to find him, but
a la Tommy Ryan.
Yeah, that's
Tommy
right.
Ryan does the little jig backstage.
Yeah, from Ohio State, formerly of Hofstra, right? He coached for Hofstra.
A fellow Long Islander like me. He's from Massapequa. He's from Wantagh. Great coach.
Yeah.
Great man, great coach.
Yeah, he is.
Lovely family.
Yeah.
All right, so Graf starts down in the second period. He immediately gets away.
So technically, he leads here 1-0. And Graf's quick. He proved right there that Ramos is going to have to finish what he starts. He's going to have to completely commit. I think the biggest match for Ramos this year, or this tournament, I enjoyed anyway, was Shop, when he had Shop on his back. That won 11-7 earlier on in the tournament. AJ Shop was the number 2 seed and had beaten Ramos in the duel.
Yep. Ramos had close matches, but I don't know that any of them he was really in a lot of jeopardy.
Yeah.
Now he defeated Shelton Mack from Pittsburgh 3-1 the first round, and a really good Zane Richards from Illinois, good young kid from Illinois, and sudden victory.
I was down on the far mat.
Yep, and then Beckman from Lehigh 3-1. So, and then in the semis, of course, he beat Shop 5-1.
5-1. Yep, 5-1. I'm sorry. Yep, had him on his back, but right now we got two guys that are going to have to pull the trigger. You're going to score points, you got to take a shot. So,
a lot more seniors in this weight class than some of the others. You've got
empties.
Graf and Ramos and Cologne and Thorne and Roth, and I guess that's it. You've got Beckman coming back. You've got Brewer coming back from Ohio, or Oklahoma, and you've got Shop coming back from Edinburgh.
You got to give, Jim Flynn at Edinburgh. I mean, look at that leaderboard. It's all big. It's all Big 10 and Big 12.
Flynn's done good.
And Cornell, all of those big patron donors who can write those big checks that can change a program, right? I mean, Edinburgh. This guy sends me an email every year asking me for $50 to buy a flag sponsor at the Edinburgh golf tournament.
Yeah.
And you know what? With what he has to work with and the resources that he has to work with, when these guys are here every year, 4th place, 6th place, 8th place, against all that money and all those donors, in my mind, he could be the coach of the year, really, quite frankly. He's just done such a great job.
Yeah, yes.
Yep.
Just showed Darren and Mary Graf, mom and dad, up in the stands.
And so we're into the third period, and Tony Ramos escapes almost immediately, so 1-1. You know, you talk about Edinburgh, and they've got Greshamer at 157 and James at heavyweight that both graduate this year, but they brought 7 wrestlers, and they've got 5 of the 7 coming back that they brought to this tournament. Plus, you've got Mitchell Port and AJ Shop both back, both juniors. So, going to be a pretty good nucleus to start with.
As I said before, you know, you're in Pennsylvania. You're competing with Penn State. You're competing with Lehigh. You're competing with Pitt. You're competing with Clarion, Lockhaven, Bloomsburg. Bloomsburg's back. They're good. They're tough.
Bloomsburg got some really good wrestlers.
They've got some very, very good kids. So,
really do.
You know, you're looking. I mean, you're picking up scraps after Cal Sanderson. And maybe even Pitt and Lehigh. I mean, maybe Edinburgh isn't, but from a recruiting standpoint, academically, Lehigh's an outstanding school, so you can go to a great program and get a great education. It's not the same as Edinburgh, but he does have Bruce Baumgartner.
Yeah,
good
absolutely.
Said the same time. Same time he said Bruce Baumgartner.
All right, 50 seconds left in this match. 1-1. All tied up. Both wrestlers on their feet, middle of the mat. 2 seconds of riding time, so that will not be a factor in this match.
Boy, just a lot of collar tying, underhooking between Graf and Ramos. They've wrestled each other so much, they probably felt like they've spent time in practice together.
All right, any second now you're going to see an explosion out of one of these guys because they're hanging in there.
My money's on Ramos. Ramos is coiling up right now and ready to pounce.
That's what he did to Shop earlier on too. Just threw him out and put him on his back. AJ Shop from
15 seconds left.
Ramos did. So, but this Graf, he's just such a seasoned veteran that he wrestles smart. I'm not sure if this 6-year senior or 7-year senior.
Looks like the two men are contented to go to the sudden victory overtime.
I remember Graf wrestling on Andrew Hochstrasser back in the day. So there's Debbie Ramos up there.
So we go into 1 minute of sudden victory where a takedown is going to win it for one of these men.
Yeah, takedown wins it.
I gotta say, this will be my last Gwizdowski comment, but when he was on the stand over there, it was right in front of all the Penn State fans, and they were chanting, "We love Nick, we love Nick," when he was on the top of the podium.
And if you look at the scoreboard, we know why, don't we?
Oh boy, both wrestlers kind of feeling each other out a little bit. A couple of little half shots, but again, nothing with real conviction.
Well, them real sweaty. They've been working hard, guys. A lot of hard work here between these two guys.
Yeah.
This doesn't completely surprise me. They've just, I don't know their total time they've wrestled, but they've wrestled a lot of.
Yeah, second ride out. Stands up immediately, and Graf takes him back to the mat.
Graf trying to lift Ramos, picks him up, puts him down.
Graf's an excellent rider. I really expect it'd be tough for Ramos to escape.
Graf's tough on top. He's just real smart. He knows how to keep his hips underneath your hips.
That's why I really was surprised that Ramos didn't have something really explosive either at the end of regulation or in the sudden victory, because I don't know that I'd want it to come to this.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't think I would either. So I was really expecting Ramos to do more of it. He's going to have to come up. He comes up on the thigh just in time with the tight waist.
Stalemate with 6 seconds. Graf does have to be careful. He got that stalling
call do that
early.
Again.
So
don't want to do that again, guys.
So he needs to be careful, but then again, if he got the stalling call, as long as he held on to Ramos, it'd still only be a point. So I guess do it until they call it. So he's down on the ankles again, but time runs out.
The momentum has shifted here.
Yep.
Wow.
So
tough.
This is going to be tough right now here for him to ride him.
Graf rode him out the entire 30 seconds, so effectively Graf has to get an escape, and he's the winner.
He's wrestling like a badger, like the animal, the badger. First cousin to the Wolverine.
Ready to go. Gets up to his feet. Ramos out on an ankle. Graf
nice somersault.
Underneath. Tries to grab a leg. This is going to kill a lot of time. Oh, look at that. He gave him 2 back points. He gave Ramos 2 back points.
They're going to challenge this.
Wow, and the Iowa Hawkeyes.
They're going to challenge this.
I think you've got to challenge that. Now they continue to wrestle because don't wait. Graf needs to try to get out. Well,
be a challenge.
No, I don't see the Wisconsin coaches with a challenge. And then somebody flung a headgear or something. I'm not sure what was.
Well, you know what happened there. Graf threw his headgear down on the ground, and Brands picked it up and threw it to the Wisconsin coach, which was not really cool.
No,
he threw it all the way across the mat.
It hit him right in the head. And it hit him,
He's apologizing now. He's apologizing now.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you get that, like, I call it that Roger Clemens exuberance.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, with that broken bat, he picked it up and threw it at Mike Piazza.
Yeah.
You know, the Brands brothers get a little carried away sometimes.
Now, they did challenge it because it'd be foolish not to.
Well, let's see it. Let's see it.
That'd be foolish. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Here it is. Here it is.
Kind of a bow and arrow situation. He's kind of got a
this is after the action. This is after he got the tilt. Here we go.
Here we go. All right, so we're watching it on replay right now.
Get a 90 degree.
Ramos over. 1. Oh boy. 2.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
That's not going to be reversed.
Yeah, because I don't think they'll have enough indisputable evidence to reverse it.
That's not going to be reversed. He got
cheer for, and Tony Ramos right up behind us into the Hawkeye crowd, and they're mauling him up here. So
got to be heading to mom.
Yeah.
Billy Baldwin holding the gate up, fortunately for us, because it's going to hit Jeff Murphy in the head. I don't know if we'll ever get there, because every Hawkeye in the room wants to slap his back and wish him well, and there he is. All right, so big crowd around us because the Hawkeyes are all right behind us. A lot of emotion going on right there. All right, putting a hat on him, saying, hey, national champ. All right. Tony Ramos kind of gets a monkey off his back with that title.
Very good.
He's been in there 3 times, guys.
Now he's got to run around to the edge and talk to Scotty Casper here to get a few comments. But, you know, that's pretty emotional for Ramos because he's been in there many times and he's not had a championship and some controversial losses. So maybe if there's a bit of controversy in that win, it's nice to see him come out on the winning side. And so Scott Casper got really quiet in here as Scott's interviewing him.
Yeah.
So.
You want to put the stands to greet those Iowa Hawkeye fans. What do they mean to you?
All right. So Ramos says the fans are my family, and my family's in the crowd, and they mean everything.
Big interview.
So.
With his tooth missing.
Yeah.
How much tougher can Ramos look with that tooth missing?
So Tony Ramos caps off a really, really good college career with a national title. And the Hawkeyes have something to celebrate this week.
Yeah, they do. They get some more points. I don't think it's going to change them being in 4th place.
The Hawkeyes will still be in 4th place after all of that. But
over our shoulder, you look at this. Isn't just Hawkeye fans. It's the entire extended Ramos family, and you know, to see the power of the emotions. Some people screaming at the top of their lungs, and 5 or 6 of them, tears in their eyes. Aunts, uncles, the mother, some of the men.
Yeah.
Really, really powerful stuff.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Billy Baldwin for keeping the Iron Gate from crashing into.
Well, when he went over there the first time, he had a cousin. It might have been that guy that had that needed the Jenny Craig. He came crashing into the fence, and it bowed about 6 or 7 inches. And then, you're right, they would have come right down on your shoulders.
That would have hit me, maybe. It definitely would have hit Mr. Murphy, Jeff Murphy. So, thank you, Billy Baldwin. You're a good.
Oh, I tell you what. Yeah, so that's a nice finish for Tony Ramos.
Oh God,
you gotta love those kind of stories. So.
Yeah. Delgado's got a chunk of flesh missing from underneath his eye, but he won his 2nd title, you guys. And like he said, if you don't like the Mark Perry style, don't watch it.
So
he wins.
You know, so we talked about those Iowa Hawkeyes for a minute. Let's talk just a little bit more. So they're going to lose Ramos, they're going to lose St. John, and they're going to lose Lofthouse.
Yeah.
So Ramos, St. John, and Lofthouse, 3 pretty steady guys over the years. A lot of points. The 2 big leaders, Ramos and St. John this past year. Now, we all know Gilman's going to come in.
Thomas Gilman's an absolute
Clark
stud.
will probably move up to 133, so you got some pretty good wrestlers
I
there.
bet Thomas Gilman and Tony Ramos, in fact, I've heard, they have 1- and 2-point matches in the wrestling room.
Yep.
So Thomas Gilman, he's a stud. He's out of Council Bluffs, Iowa.
So
a lot of titles for Council Bluffs.
The 2 big questions are who are going to fill the gaps for the Hawkeyes, and
yeah, well, that's the great news about the top programs in the country. You know, when my friends wrestled at Penn State in the 80s, there were guys that were 3-time New Jersey State champs that never even cracked the starting lineup. They were there for 5 years and never wrestled. All these big programs have incredible depth. So if they're doing their job recruiting, they just reload. You know.
Yep.
That's how they're back on the top of the leaderboard. I mean, Iowa's number 4, but they're still in the conversation.
I think of Jesse Whitmer back in the day, Gables last year, he was coaching on his crutches. Jesse Whitmer ready, he wrestled varsity 1 year, won the title. I think of Stuart Carter wrestling behind Kevin Jackson, 2-time world champ, Olympic gold medalist. from Iowa State, Stu Carter wrestled 1 year and ran the table and won his title. So it can happen.
Yep. So let's talk about these two wrestlers that are going to face each other at 141 pounds. First of all, you got Devin Carter out of Virginia Tech. He's from Christiansburg, Virginia. Carter's a junior who tore a hamstring earlier in this year, and the Virginia Tech athletic department actually sent out a media release saying that he was done for the season. But this caught him in sudden victory overtime now. He's had 2 chances, Stieber, to redeem himself, and he's beat him both times. Stieber coming in, working on his 3rd championship. One of the 3 trying to go for 3 titles. Devin Carter, Scott Casper, Scotty Too Hottie, and I, as I like to refer to Scott, go to the Midlands a lot. And Carter's won that Midlands before, and he's a stud, but of course everybody knows who Stieber is. Won 2 titles. Both titles, though, you know, he earned them. He's a great kid, but kind of on what you would call controversial calls at the edge into the mat. So, but nonetheless, he's a great-looking junior going for his 3rd title for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And ready, his brother Hunter returns to the team next year. So. Oh, Stieber just grabs both legs and pulls Carter in for 2. He's in there tough, and he's a scoring machine. Once he starts clicking away, you better get on your haunches and have something in your repertoire, or you're going to be in trouble.
Be a big player on the international scene too.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
Yeah, when he was still in high school, he was at the World Team Trials.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep, Stieber's tough. Devin Carter. I'll never forget that Devin Carter won the Midlands title the night that his dad had a heart attack. They rushed his dad to the hospital in Chicago, in Evanston, Illinois. His dad has a heart attack, almost dies. And Devin Carter says, "My dad has told me I want you to wrestle." He could barely communicate, and he went out there and got a major tech fall in the finals, and he said that was for his dad. So the kid's got heart. To be able to do something like that type of a crisis, that's big. Yeah, this is another class with a lot of great wrestlers that'll be back for another season. We've got the 2 juniors that are out here on the mat right now. Only Joey Lazor out of the top 8 is a senior. Everyone else will be back for the next year. Port, Henderson, Stephen Dutton III, Rutherford out of Penn State. So Port's not a senior. And Durso. No, Port is a junior. Kid's tough. Yep. And I like to watch him wrestle. He is just extremely physical. So again, the 141-pound class, assuming everyone stays in this class, going to be an outstanding class again next year. Kid that stood out to me, by the way, is another Edinburgh Fighting Scot, that Mitchell Port. Wrestling for
we could be jammed up at, I don't know what in kilos, what weight Stieber's competing at.
Yeah.
But, you know, with Jordan Oliver and a couple.
So Stieber riding Carter really tough. Carter's tried to get up to his feet a couple times. Stieber's returned him to the mat immediately.
And finals, and watch the fans on YouTube. Type that in, the World Cup. It was riotous, very riotous.
Was it the World Championships or the World Cup?
It was the World Cup against the United States. And
all right, so Stieber's tried a bunch of different things. He had legs in for a little bit. He's got a chicken wing in right now.
The World Championships in Iran last year.
Like a king. They put him on a gurn.
And we totally reciprocated last week when we had the World Cup in LA.
Yeah.
There was a couple thousand people there, and more than half were Iranian Americans from Beverly Hills and from Orange County, from the Valley.
Make a lot of noise.
They really stepped up.
So we got an escape, Jeff Murphy?
When we move into the second period, and Logan Stieber started on the bottom, he got an escape almost immediately. So both wrestlers on their feet. Minute and 38 seconds left in the second period. Stieber with 2 minutes and 8 seconds of riding time, although based upon the action we've seen thus far, I'm not sure riding time is really going to mean anything. Got to feel good about those Ohio State Buckeyes as well. You know, right now they're in seventh place. They'll move into 6th place ahead of Cornell. If they got 2 Stieber brothers coming back next year, and then a lot of really good young wrestlers.
The number 1 recruit in the United States, Snyder.
Yep, and a lot of really good young wrestlers out there. Kenny Courts looked really good.
Yeah, Kenny, boy, is he explosive.
Yeah, Martin.
I don't know if they'll redshirt Snyder or not. They might redshirt him. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, but this just I've talked about the depth of some of these schools. And Paddock at 149, and they brought 8 wrestlers here, and they're going to keep 6 of those 8 that they brought here, and then fill in the gaps.
2 more for Stieber. Big takedown against Devin Carter. I don't know if that hurt him or helped him that he missed some. I mean, he only came in here with a total of 18 matches, so that's about half everybody else's.
Yeah.
Because he had that hamstring injury, and like Jeff mentioned earlier, they actually put a press release out and said he was done for the year, but right before qualifiers, they said, nope, he's going to come out. He marches here to the finals.
He's not doing much here right now, I tell you.
Nah, he's got a tiger on his hand. Remember, Mr.
Down
Stever.
5-zip, 2 minutes and 40 seconds of riding time, and not a lot of action being generated from the bottom right now.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if that month or two of layoff hurt him or not. But
Well, Stever had a fall, a tech fall, a fall, and then he had the rematch with Rutherford, the rubber match, if you will, because they were 1-1 going into that, and beat Rutherford 7-3. So
that's about the same score maybe as the 10s. Is that right? Or was it 7-3 up there, Jeff?
Yeah, I think it was.
I think it was exact, or 7-4 maybe.
Pretty close to it.
About the same, I think.
So Carter really just doesn't have any answer at all for Stever. So we start the third period.
Carter's good. He's real lean. He's got a good build, but
and Stever in on low ankles.
Those low shots. Stever's so good at those low shots. It's just impressive. Now we know why he's a junior going for his third title already. They don't do that by just making weight.
Not really on the same level, really, what I'm seeing demonstrated here. He's in a slightly different... Well, Stever would be...
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, if you compared him to anyone with his third title here, he's special.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here and make a prediction that if Stever wins this at the final match next year at the NCAA tournament, will be at whatever weight class Logan Stever's at.
You're going way out on a limb.
I know.
That he's going to win here tonight.
Well, I know.
7-1 lead. Boy, you live dangerously.
But he's got to win it next year too. So,
pardon me, I've been in this game long enough that this guy's will shock you, but maybe there's a high schooler that's going to come out and beat him.
That's just it.
I've seen it.
That's the thing. You never know. You know, guys.
I've actually seen it.
Yeah. Anybody that was a 4-time champion must have done it to a lot of seniors.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. So.
Yeah, there was a guy named
Nobody heard it.
A guy named Logan
year,
Stever.
Tonight we had Cox. Logan Stever. We had Cox do it tonight.
Yeah,
no, man.
Absolutely.
Time will tell. That's the beauty of the sport. Changing of the guard.
Well, that was great about the. I won't say his name again, but at the heavyweight bout.
Yeah.
You know, to see the changing of the guard, Nelson, 2-time champ, going for third, and the youngster comes in and gets it done.
Well, that's why it's just so tough to go win multiple titles, because you got new guys coming in every year. So in a very quiet, workmanlike fashion, Logan Stever with a 10-1 victory over Devin Carter.
Good way to word it. It was just workman fashion, like Jeff Murphy said.
Yeah, anticlimactic there.
Yeah, exactly. Just not a lot of fanfare, not a lot of noise, and with all the action and hubbub and the big giant commotion that happened after Tony Ramos won, Stever just, again, workmanlike. He's got a smile on his face. He's got his
decades.
Yep.
And to have
only
Pat Smith was when was his last one? Early
Tom Ryan's senior year, because it was Tom Ryan and Pat Smith that wrestled for it.
Early 80s.
Yeah, because Tom Brand.
And then you jumped to 2002 for Cale, and last year for Dake, and next year for Stever. If it happens.
Of course, Cale never brags because he's just so humble, but I'll bring it up. The one thing Cale had against all these other 4-timers, not all, there's only been a couple, but never lost a match. It's almost scary when you think about it. To win 4, never lose. Pretty amazing.
There's something special about Dake, too, though. I mean, even though we lost a couple of the last time he lost was to a kid from Binghamton, actually, Donnie Vincent.
Yeah, Donnie Vincent, one of my favorite wrestlers.
Yeah,
He should have wrestled for the Golden Flashes. Well, no, I'm glad he was a Binghamton Bear. He was flashy.
Last year, 2 years ago, he lost in the first round, and he won 7 matches straight to go. No one had done that in 15 years.
Yeah.
He lost in the opening round and came through the wrestlebacks. 7 matches to take 3.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's, 2 things that are remarkable about Dake, obviously 4 different weight classes, 4 weight classes. But I got to hand it to the kid, when he was a sophomore, everybody wrote him off.
Yeah.
Dake got beat 2 or 3 times. Dake's not going to, Dake came out and beat everybody here and showed him. And then he never looked back.
The thing that's most special about him, though, is you could see in his eyes that he just it's like psychologically, I feel like he's at such an advantage to so many other athletes. He just walks on the mat, not like knowing, like trying to convince himself, I'm going to win. It's like, I don't think the thought ever enters his mind. He walked into the finals last year against Taylor, and he just looked around and was taking in the energy of the fans, and he was enjoying it. Taylor walked out, and Taylor looked a little nervous.
Yeah.
Dake was in his head.
Yeah, he was.
And Dake he just enjoyed he soaked it up. He enjoyed every moment. And psychologically, it's very few guys that I've seen that you just can't break psychologically, and he's one of them.
Yeah, he is. He's so psychological strong. It's a mental game.
Some of the stuff he's done in international wrestling already.
Oh, man.
I mean, I've seen a couple matches where he's just taken Iranians and Russians, he's just tossed people all over the place.
He's a good one. He's got a bright future. Real bright future. Him and Jordan Burroughs. Hal, I don't know if Hal's going to drop and go down. He might for the Olympics, because remember, we get less weights for the Olympics than we do for the world events. We get a few more for the world events and less for Olympics.
That's one of my 2 goals with the Olympic wrestling team. One is to, of course, get them out as a provisional sport and back into the core. The other one is we compromised and we went to a 6-6-6 format.
Right.
And I'd like to see us get a couple of weight classes back for freestyle. I'd love to have 7, at least 7 weight classes for the men for freestyle and Greco at least.
Would be great, because you got a lot of tweeners in there. Guys that are right between weights.
Yeah, guys are slipping through. Great guys are slipping through the cracks.
All right, so our 149-pound wrestlers are approaching the mat. Week about some of the seating controversy, and this is one of them, because 49. I think Sertzis was seated way too low, and he had a 31-3 record this year.
Is that Alex up there? Do you remember where they were?
Yeah, right in section 116. He's standing with his dad in the gray T-shirt.
Yeah,
in the top section, he's swaying back and forth. Keep your eye on him during this match.
I remember him.
I was sitting
Iowa.
in 116, and he was making a lot of noise.
Good eye, Billy Baldwin. Yeah, that's good.
It's his brother. It's his older brother or younger brother?
He's older, wrestled for Iowa, and was an All-American for the Hawkeyes.
Yeah.
And I believe he never lost a, here comes Dan Gable in front of us. He never lost a high school match, if I remember right. Jason did. Jason Sertzis did.
So
Alex,
Jason's the younger one, So this is going to be a really interesting match, because Sertzis has just looked really impressive to me. Looked really impressive at the Big Ten tournament. Looked really impressive in this tournament. Took out Outashell, another really outstanding wrestler, with a 2-1 victory in the turnback.
Who'd really been ranked #1 all year from Missouri's Outashell.
Yeah. So Sertzis has had some close matches, a 4-1, a 4-3.
The tiebreaker against #1 seed.
Tiebreakers, yep. So made his way through. He's a freshman, and he's going to go out and wrestle for a national title right now.
As Billy pointed out, his brother's up on his feet, and when he was warming up, he looked up at his brother, and his brother pointed at him. So
in this match, if for any hope at all for that to continue,
Caldwell's got to be DT.
Yep. Well, it's a remote opportunity, but it is still a possibility.
Yes, right. Possible, but highly unlikely.
Well, they got to score a lot of bonus points along the way as well. But it all starts right here. Perry went out and did his part by winning, but Kindig's going to have to win, and Kindig's going to have to win pretty big.
Yeah, Sertzis has been real solid. Nice little duck under. I get a little Lincoln McIravy flashback there. It looked like Lincoln McIravy.
Nice duck under. Just didn't catch anything on the way through, so still 0-0.
McIravy, a 4-time finalist, 3-time champ for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and 5-time state champ out of South Dakota. He had a boot scoot that was amazing.
All right, referee says let's start over here at the center.
Kindig is not a lot of collar tie. They're kind of keeping their distance from one another, I noticed, and doing some hand fighting. And there's your collar tie, and then on a fireman's a high crotch off that far leg is Kindig. But Sertzis doing a good job fighting it off.
Sertzis kind of put a bar across his face and just shoved him away.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it, Jeff.
Well, because Kindig never really got his hands locked as he went in on that fireman's.
Yeah.
Sertzis pushed him away, and so nothing out of that.
Oh, man. Well, there's the first shot, I think, really, of Sertzis.
Yep.
Young freshman from Northwestern Wildcats.
Again, he had the one duck under that looked pretty, and then that shot. But
boot scoot that was way away from his opponent. He wasn't going to score on that. Kindig just basically stepped away from that.
All right, 46 seconds left in this first period, 0-0.
Here we go, guys. Oklahoma State against the Northwestern Wildcats.
Yeah, Eric Guerrero looking sharp in the corner over there.
Yeah, he's looking, man. He's
coiffed.
Won his 3 titles back in the day out of the state of California.
All right.
Over 200 high school wins. I remember that statistic.
Yeah, search us again with
Eric Guerrero.
And
nice
again,
another shot there.
Kindig, I think Kindig's been coached very, very well.
Yeah,
about
right. It seems
where
maybe
Search's tendencies are.
I think somebody's been watching film. What do you think?
Absolutely.
He's trying to figure him out. Nice throw by
Oh.
with the standing cradle.
Yeah, but Kindig back up, and I don't think Search is going to get anything out of that either. No.
Front whizzer, not really a
Nice
side
effort there,
whizzer.
though.
But
So really quite a bit of action here. Just
yeah, there's been some shots, you know. Kindig got the Jordan Oliver mohawk going.
Yeah, so
I noticed.
2 seconds left in this match, and there you go, or in this first period. So 0-0.
Yep.
Kindig says, I'll take down. He'll start on the bottom. Jason Surtis starting on top.
Gotta believe that the Kindig people up on the screen, they've had a good time. Good job by ESPN finding the family members.
Yeah.
Getting them on the television. It takes some research to figure out where everybody's at.
Yeah, absolutely. So
pick up and the throw down there by
Kindig gets up, but Surtis throws him right back to the mat.
Surtis looks tough on top.
Yeah.
Gotta believe he rolls with his brother too, Alex, obviously. Former Hawk, All-American.
A lot of pressure. Oh, a little
coming
sit
out.
out.
Needs to kick out here, Kindig does.
Yep, Surtis all the way down, hanging on an ankle, but working his way up the leg. But again, hanging on the ankle.
Got to go limp leg here. Do the Jesse Delgado leg.
Yep. He kind of twists it around, grabs a toe, and they go out of bounds. And the referee says, "Let's just start over again."
He looks a lot like his brother Alex.
26
There's resemblance, isn't there?
26. A minute 26 left in this second period.
Even their facial looks, you know, they're kind of aerodynamic, and I think they get good gas mileage on these shots.
Kindig back up to his feet. Surtis takes him back to the mat. Kindig escapes.
Gets out, so the Oklahoma State Cowboy
bursts out, so he's out to the 1-0 lead with 1 minute and 11 seconds left. 45 seconds of riding time for Surtis.
Not quite the magical minute yet for Surtis, but want to have 1 minute or more to get that extra point when the match is over.
They go out of bounds, so the referee's going to restart them, both men on their feet as they come back to the middle of the mat.
6-time world gold medalist. Winning the worlds, including his Olympic medals that he won. John Smith up on the screen, they're showing him in the tunnel. Kind of went Barry Davis on us, didn't he?
Yeah.
A little bit from Wisconsin Badger coach.
I can see a Badger in the tunnel. I'm not so sure about a Cowboy in the tunnel.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Oh, that was that way. Frischkorn, do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember him.
That Frischkorn kid looked like he was chiseled out of pure marble.
All right, so we're winding down. Last 7 seconds of the period. And they call out of bounds for 3 seconds, so we'll restart for 3 seconds.
Here we go, kids.
So does somebody
gentlemen,
take a big shot?
I should say. Gentlemen.
Yep. Nope, no big shot.
Yep.
All right, so we go to the third period. Surtis is down.
There's his brother that Billy Baldwin set up by.
That's the dad and the brother.
You know,
so Surtis is down, and he has 45 seconds of riding time, so Kindig's got to ride him for a long, long time if that's going to come into play.
Interesting that Northwestern has Surtis in the finals, and I believe McMullen wrestled all the way back for third place, and they're not in the top 10 in team scoring.
Right, yep.
That's 2 guys that finished very high.
Yeah, they did.
So I guess beyond that, they didn't perform very well.
Pierce Harger maybe took 8th, right? Pierce Harger,
yeah,
I'm not
that's
sure.
correct.
How
Pierce was in the run.
So they got to be in the top 14 or 15.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah,
I would too. I didn't get a new.
All-Americans, they'd have to be.
Did you get a new sheet tonight?
I didn't. They did not have them actually, and I physically requested one.
I would say the back page of the new sheet would probably have it.
They did. I asked for that, and the lady handed me how much the heavyweights weigh. I said, okay, well, it's numbers.
All right.
It's not the numbers I'm
it is
looking
1-1 when we were talking there. There was an escape, so there's 36 seconds of riding time for Surtis. There's 1 minute and 11 seconds in the match.
Northwestern tied for 11th place.
Clones, Tigers, and Panthers. Iowa State.
I'm not sure that's
Missouri,
not before the last round. I think that's
last
this
round.
afternoon.
But they're in the mix.
Oh, they're definitely in the mix. Absolutely. They're not far off the big toe
So they're right outside the top 10.
Does this help them?
Yeah, they've got a great nucleus to come back and have a good
We got
team.
Mr. Northwestern right over here to our left, Danny Sheehan,
What year is
my roommate.
McMullen in? What year is McMullen in? Is he a junior?
He's a junior.
He's a junior,
That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah, Michael McMullen.
These two alone.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, so.
Yeah, they'll be.
He's a good-looking wrestler too, McMullen.
Great
Good
technician. Just real good hips for a big guy.
All right, 36 seconds left in this match. Still all tied up 1-1. Both wrestlers on their feet. And we get a stalling call against Surtsis. Kindig sort of backs him off the mat.
There's some Cowboy fans.
I'm not sure why that call happened other than Matt Zisk thought he had to make a call.
Nice arm drag attempt there by Kindig, but Surtsis backed out and said nothing, dude. He's got double underhooks here.
Yep. 13 seconds left.
Look at this
throw for the snap down. Wow.
Surtsis getting some throws.
Surtsis again with a duck under, and Kindig steps out of that one again. He's been coached very well on that one.
His brother Alex is clapping his hands so hard I can hear him clear over here across the arena with my headphones on.
All right, so the referees must be a little blood on Kindig.
On his face. A nice flurry there by Surtsis at the end. A flurry of several moves there.
Yep.
Very nice.
So when the blood's over, we'll come out and there'll be 1 minute of sudden victory here. So first wrestler to get a takedown here will score the victory.
Coach Drew Piriano in the coaching ranks there, the head coach for Northwestern. Drew doing a good job.
All right, Kindig shoots a double leg, but he shoots from a long way
about
away.
a mile away.
Yep. Surtsis got him by the head and trying to circle, but Kindig gets back up to his feet. They're all tied up in some kind of a collar tie.
Oh, deep on a single. Deep on a single. Watch that.
But there's a spin.
He's going to get this too.
Oh, boy.
Surtsis in on a shot.
Yep. It's in deep.
Surtsis in tough. Kindig down on his rump.
That's not two yet.
Nice whizzer by Windig. By Kindig.
Yep.
He's got to keep that whizzer in.
Yep, he's got to keep that whizzer in. 28 seconds,
Sudden
so there's
victory.
a long time here, folks.
Sudden victory.
Oh, Surtsis back over. No, he's
Nice
still only got one
readjustment
leg.
there.
He doesn't have two. He doesn't have control. He's got to step around behind that other leg. There it is.
National champion. Look at him.
There's Dad. There's Alex. Big takedown and sudden victory for the Wildcat.
Yep, national champion as a freshman. So we get two freshmen who have opportunities to become four-time national champions here today.
And I'm not sure if that's Missouri's first or not. I do know this is Northwestern's first freshman national champ. I can't remember. Did Askren lose to Pendleton as a freshman, I think, and then he came back. So that might have been Missouri's first fresh, as well as Jason Surtsis for Northwestern.
Alex Surtsis does two things. He wins himself a national title, and he kills the Cowboys' outside hopes and dreams of winning a title. Jason, I'm sorry.
Everybody calls me Alex. I'm very sensitive to that. Get the names
Got to keep those brothers straight, don't we?
Alex wrestled for so many years.
Yeah, we watched him and Nate Gallick, his brother. Did they have some great matches? Or
Alex is jumping up and down up there with his father as if he just won it. Awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So proud
for the family.
Very proud, big bro.
Yeah, what a great feeling. That was.
Hope so. I spent an hour on him. You know?
That was the in-between sessions.
Yeah.
Questions.
I thought I was going to be able to take a nap. Scott says, write me some good questions.
And again, those Northwestern Wildcats are going to be tough next year. Mullen and Surtsis, a great nucleus. Pierce Harger had a good tournament. And I think you'll find that Northwestern will come back and be a really tough team to compete with in the Big Ten next year.
You know, that match started out a little bit slow, but those guys made up for it at the end there. That was a very exciting flurry and a very exciting finish.
That was exciting. Big win for the Wildcats and Northwestern out of Evanston, who always does the historic Midlands. They're half a century old, and we've had a blast following that tournament. It's kind of like a mini nationals in the middle of the tournament.
So did you see my notes I wrote this afternoon?
Yeah, that does it. You already had the math figured out, didn't you, Jeff Murphy?
I had the math figured out.
Good job, Jeff, as always. So,
all right. So
Oklahoma State cannot win the team title. Had a good tournament, that's for sure.
Had an outstanding tournament, and where they lost, it was 4 guys in the finals. Can't argue with that.
Yeah,
but not enough guys in the consolation round.
They didn't pick up any points in Russellbacks, really.
Yep.
I think Marsden lost to that Johnson from Ohio.
And only had the chance to pick up 1 point with Marsden. Well, 3 if he got bonus points, but So
wasn't his match that Johnson from Ohio, I think?
Absolutely, Johnson from Ohio. So, when you look at that, the Cowboys did have a really great tournament, and one would think
they were solid.
With four guys in the championship round, that man, they gotta be.
Yeah.
But that just shows you why balance is so important.
Oh, that team balance is so important.
They only had one wrestler competing in the wrestlebacks,
Yeah.
and he lost.
Yeah.
He was wrestling for 7th and 8th. I believe they're heavyweight, and he lost in the wrestlebacks.
Yep. So you got to have some balance. You got to have some folks to go along with it. All right.
So hear the Golden Gopher fans here.
This is going to be a great match. All right. So coming out of the red corner, Dylan Ness from the University of Minnesota, out of Bloomington, Minnesota. He's a junior this year. Ness came into this tournament, get on the right page. Ness came in this tournament with a 23-5 record. He was a number 9 seed, and Ness rode his way on a fall, and a fall. So 3 pins to get himself to the semifinals, and then a 6-4 win over Ian Miller, another really outstanding freshman.
Yeah, Miller's tough.
On the other side of the mat is Alex Deringer out of Oklahoma State University. He comes out of Port Washington, Wisconsin. He's a sophomore. Deringer's had an outstanding season, finishing 31-1 coming into this tournament. Deringer with a tech fall, an 18-11 major decision, not quite a major decision, 18-11 decision, and won 7-4 over Real Budo from Cornell in the semifinals. So Dylan Deringer seeded number 3, and Ness seeded number 9. But I think the story behind this one is Ness's ability to turn somebody and pin somebody.
It's the most dangerous man on the map. There's another one that we can mention that led the team in the nation in pins. That's Tyler Walsh from Indiana, but he's not here, and he did. I don't know if he even made All-American, did he? Tyler Walsh.
I don't think he did,
for the Indiana Hoosiers. But Ness is the most dangerous man on the map this year. I could say on the planet when it comes to college.
So what Deringer's got to be careful on, because the way Ness got one of his falls over James Green, he does. He'll set you up, and you think you're going for back points, and Ness grabs you and locks you up and rolls you over.
And it's beautiful. And we
called
that
roll through with Green. It was stunning. The amount of leverage and upper body strength that it required to roll him through like that.
Green's such a stud. Well, and it was all off of setting Green up, thinking he was going to pin Ness.
Yeah, because we've seen time and time again Ness this season pinning people. St. John, he got St. John.
Listen to this. We had Green go down to Ness by fall. The mighty are falling here. Number 1, Green goes down to Ness by fall. St. John goes down to Real Budo 11-4. He manhandles St. John. And then Real Budo goes down to Deringer. I think that may have been where he hurt his knee.
Yeah, I think so too.
So here we are with Deringer and Ness, but a very tough weight class and some very exciting action earlier.
It is a
tough I want to tell you, Real Budo, he's the real deal too. I look forward to watching him for the next several years.
He sure is.
Because he's freshman.
Tough. Yeah. James Green, everybody thought, including me, he'd be in the finals, but that's not the case.
All right, so Dylan Ness out there on the mat right now versus Deringer.
And at this weight, we'd be remiss not to talk about the young freshman. He's got a great future from Wisconsin, Isaac Jordan.
Yeah, a lot of good 157-pounders that are young.
His dad won 2 titles. His brother was a Wisconsin All-American 2 years ago against Andrew Sorensen. That would have been Ben Jordan, so he's got a bright future.
Yeah.
Right now, we got the Golden Gopher out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, the University of Minnesota, and Oklahoma State's Deringer.
Yep.
There you go. Look at this.
Deringer with a takedown.
Look at Ness.
Ness on his back.
You better remember Jason Ness, Daniel Dennis.
Yep.
You got any flashbacks of that one? His brother.
Absolutely.
Jason Ness. You thought Daniel Dennis was going to win it, and Jason Ness pulled off one of the best finishes ever. And be his older but smaller brother.
Yeah, so it's a 2-0 score now with Deringer riding him 2 minutes, a minute gone by in the first period.
Unless Deringer could get a big point spread, what I'm trying to say, I guess, is with the Ness boys out of Minnesota, pardon my English, it ain't over till it's over.
Yeah. Well, and so Minnesota needs this match, obviously, because they trail Penn State 105.5 to 104. So
this is it for them, correct?
Point and a half. This is it. I mean, this is the next to last match of the night.
How many points for this?
And so he's going to get 4 points, all right, for if he would win. Whoever wins will get 4 points. But
then there's going to be a lot of Gophers cheering for Tyler Caldwell.
Well, absolutely, and if Ness wants to help his case, he finds a way to pin Derringer, winds up scoring the fall, and he scores 6 points for his team, which would then force David Taylor from Penn State to have a major decision in order for Penn State to win the team title. So it's just that close.
And one of the very few people that's kept bonus points from Taylor is
Tyler Caldwell.
That's a lot of ifs.
There's a lot of ifs.
That is. Could be, should be, maybe.
All the strategy involved.
Yeah.
All the scenarios.
Yeah. Like me trying to talk my mom, and I really didn't do that as a boy.
Hey,
here's why, Mom.
It's just so exciting to have a team race this close, this late in the tournament.
It is fun.
I mean, this was over for Penn State last year in 2018 by the end of day 2.
Yeah,
more times than not, it is. You're right.
By halfway through the session on Friday, it was over.
More times than not, it's usually done by now. So we have found out, we did our research we mentioned earlier, I think, but the teams tie, which I don't think mathematically happen now. You get a co-championship.
Yeah.
There's no way to really figure it out.
That's
criteria.
Highly unlikely to happen.
It's only happened once, Oklahoma State and Iowa State Cyclones.
Derringer trying to turn Ness.
Boy, Derringer's tough. That's big for Oklahoma State.
Yeah, it is.
He has just tied up Ness. And when you're flat on your stomach, guess what? You can't be dangerous.
Yeah, that's right.
That takes that dangerousness out of your repertoire of moves.
So 5-0 for Derringer at the end of the first period in 2 minutes and 16 seconds. Some would say that it makes Ness even more dangerous because he knows he's got to throw the big move.
Now, Ness, I'm going to check on his record. I will tell you, he's missed a lot of season, both last year and this year with an injury, and he was holding his arm close to his stomach there, kind of like Ian Miller was doing earlier. He pointed it out in that match.
He looked very lackluster in that first period.
Yeah, he did. And
Certainly did.
I know in his career, the only downside to Ness is he's wrestled with a lot of injuries.
Get a singlet like that then.
Yeah, I better get something. I better start wearing something orange. Yeah, actually, it wouldn't be pretty.
All right, a minute left in the second period. 8-1 now in favor of Derringer.
There we go. You know, in the radio studio, we're doing a singlet show, right? Did Scott tell you that?
Oh, no.
This Saturday. We've talked and teased about it, haven't we? Doing a radio show in our singlets. The beauty of it, it's on the radio.
Yeah, thank goodness.
That's what's great about it. I pity the people in the parking lot.
There's an expression called a face made for radio.
Yeah, I got it. I got the body,
That's a body made for radio.
Yeah, 53 years old, things shift.
But you don't look like that guy that just came down here with the Go Hawks shaved into his back here, though, do you?
No, it's not that bad, but it's not that bad, but it won't be
What
pretty.
do you call Scott again? Scotty, my hottie?
Scotty too hottie.
Scotty too hottie. You want to shave that in your back?
Yeah, that's right. No, I'll let him take care of that.
The singlet session.
Oh, my
We're not always scared of people in the parking lot. I pity the people in the elevator.
All right, so the second period winds down to a close on that great note. And 8-1 in favor of Derringer, so we got 2 minutes to see if Dylan Ness can do something really special.
That famous KXNO elevator with all the hydraulic aroma, right? We've smelled that for a few years, huh? We think somebody put the wrong kind of hydraulic grease on the cables.
All right, here we go. Ness on the bottom.
Gets up to his feet now, so there you go. Well, he's got to be within striking distance.
Well, and Derringer wisely says, just get away from me. I'll give you the one.
Yeah, he'd be real smart. He doesn't want to get suckered into anything.
8-2 right now.
Well, Jason Ness did it, his brother, with Daniel Dennis of Iowa, so.
He was a little closer when it came to the
Yeah, it was, yeah. He sure was, so. Well, he's going to, even a 5-point move makes him one short, no riding time, so he doesn't need a 5-point move. He'll literally, if he doesn't hurry and get going on, he's going to need the pinfall.
Yep, at this point in the game, Ness is going to have to do something special. He's going to about have to pin him because I don't think he can score enough points.
It just showed how solid Derringer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right there, that backward somersault by Ness.
Ness tried a little something, got an ankle caught. And
I think he wanted Derringer to challenge, to actually charge him. What do you bet?
Hey, I know he did.
I bet that's a strategy. That backward somersault where he looked like he tripped, he wanted Derringer to come running at him.
Yeah.
Seriously, you think so too, Jeff?
I think so too.
We watched him. He's that sneaky. He's sneaky.
Yeah, 45 seconds left in this match.
I bet that was a fake trip.
All right.
See?
So
told you.
Ness was some
Watch
wild,
this.
funky windmill flip around.
That was like a
Takedown.
flying squirrel.
Yeah.
That was a flying squirrel.
That was a flying Granby.
Yeah. So all right. So Ness hits on the board with the. So it's 10-3 now.
Boy, it's tough.
Yeah.
Look, he's trying to go straight up with.
Yeah.
And Derringer's just too smart.
Yeah.
He's not gonna.
Derringer says, "I'm not falling for any of it."
No. Oh, watch! Here he goes.
Derringer with 2 more, but they're out of bounds or they're right on the edge, and it's not going to happen. All right. So 2 seconds left. All right. The Golden Gophers' dream is looking extremely tenuous at this point. 2-1, and that's the match.
That's a major. It's a major.
Yeah. Extra bonus points. Alex Derringer. Tough kid. They claim he's a 65-pounder next year, so. Taylor and Caldwell will be gone. Marino from Iowa State will be back, and some other good 65-pounders. Big win for the Cowboys, who have won, you ready? 34 team titles.
All right, so Oklahoma State will pick up 5 points with the major decision. But again, too little too late to really get back in his team race. So, as we look at going down to the last match of the night.
It all comes down to this.
It certainly does. 105.5 points for Penn State. 104 points for Minnesota. All right. Well, to be honest with you, let's rephrase that whole thing. It doesn't all come down to the last match of the night, because it really doesn't matter what David Taylor does, because Minnesota's out of options. Right. So Penn State with a 1.5 win, doesn't matter what David Taylor does.
So Cowboys are 2-1.
Without that Dylan Ness victory, Penn State wraps it up.
Minnesota's 0-2, and I believe Penn State will make it 2-0 here.
Yep, absolutely. So really, this is all about David Taylor and what he does, because
the gentleman presenting the awards for 149 pounds is the oldest living NCAA champion.
Yep, there he is.
That's pretty cool.
Stanley Henson, one of the 2 Henson brothers.
At age 97.
I got a wrestling card of him standing on there. And
by the way, he looks really good.
Yeah, he does look really good.
He looks really good.
Yes. And I got a great picture here. You ready?
I know a couple of old wrestlers in their 50s that don't look that good.
I know somebody 53 about looks like he does. Yeah, that's a good one. Danny Hodge and Stanley Henson.
Awesome.
So,
very nice.
Danny Hodge and Stanley Henson.
All right, so Jason Surtsis gets his title.
I got to go home with something, you know what I mean? So, something put on my hard drive.
Little fan fest activity.
Yeah, something
Thanks
to do
Mike and Bev Chapman. Mike sets a lot of that up.
All right, I got to stand up for a minute, fellas, because I just got to stand up.
Mike's a great enthusiast. He really motivates me. I've been to Mike's house about a dozen times personally. And
Mike Chapman's, he's one of those guys that's on a level all by itself. Very few people have achieved that, like the highest pantheon of wrestling advocacy and commitment and enthusiasm.
Wrote a lot of books.
Passion. He's on another level.
Wrote more total books than anybody else on the sport. One of my all-time favorites out of many was 2 guys named Dan. So where Dan explains about who he is and how he accomplished what he did, and then the other one, of course, Dan Gable. But 2 guys named Dan. You can't get hard copies of it anymore, but he did get some more soft copies printed, and it's very motivational. Here we go.
All right, here we go.
We've seen a Caldwell, a guy with that last name, do the impossible before already. Years ago, Darian Caldwell against Metcalf, but what'll happen?
So as we indicated earlier, it's all wrapped up for the Penn State Nittany Lions with 105.5 points to does 104. So David Taylor out here now to see if he can cap his phenomenal career. His career started by committing to Coach Cale Sanderson and the Iowa State Cyclones, but when Coach Sanderson went east, so did David.
I remember up at Seven Flags Fitness Center in Clive, Iowa, suburb of Des Moines, spending some time with Taylor. I can't wait to be an Iowa State Cyclone, and we're thinking, since I go to all their home duels, I can't wait to watch either. He takes off with one of my good friends and an awesome human being, Cale Sanderson. So, but it's still been fun. I've been getting pictures with him, and he's a good kid. Caldwell's tough, though. Let's talk about this Tyler Caldwell. This kid's focused.
So Taylor out of St. Paris, Ohio, obviously wrestled for the Penn State Nittany Lions in this tournament.
You can almost say that for his entire season, really.
Absolutely, because he had very few matches that he won by less than a major decision.
You're looking at this, the Hodge Award winner.
Undefeated wrestler was Ship Talk, and he lost to Ed Ruth.
So let's give a little love to Tyler Caldwell. He's out of Wichita, Kansas, wrestling for the Oklahoma State Cowboys.
Tough
now
as
Caldwell
nails.
started as a freshman at Oklahoma.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And when there was a coaching change at Oklahoma, he said, you know what? I think I need a change too. And he shifted gears, went to the other part of the state, became an Oklahoma State Cowboy for the last 2 years.
You could never lose by going to John Smith, but I got to tell you, Mark Cody is a special guy. He's a wonderful coach, and Oklahoma's back on track, back in the top 10, and big things are happening for them.
I knew he did so much for American, and I know you're keeping track of that being East Coast stuff, that I thought if he lands in Norman, it's just going to get better and better.
Yeah, absolutely. So
interesting, they hired both Cody. Oh, here we go.
Came in there with a 28-3 record this year.
I was going to say both Spates and Cody are New Yorkers.
Yeah.
And, usually schools like Oklahoma and Iowa, they don't hire out of the family. And I'm talking about the Oklahoma family or the Iowa family, but there's going to be a run of New Yorkers running the Sooner program Jack Spates was there for a long time. And Cody's doing a great job. He's obviously not going anywhere soon.
I know one thing about Jack Spates, he sure knows how to throw a party. And I got pictures to prove it. His wife, Barb, is the best cook.
Yeah, she's
Scotty Tuhati and I were invited to it, and I said, Scott, let's go. And man,
was I here the other night, like a couple nights ago?
Yeah, down at his house. He's got a beautiful home.
I heard a bunch of hooligan Mook, Long Island, all of his buddies from Long Island.
They were.
I heard they were all over the place.
Tons of Slippery Rock people.
Yeah, right.
A lot of people from Slippery Rock. Yeah, former coach. Oh yeah, you got it. Food was great, and so was the fellowship. Yeah, Jack Spates is a good one, guys. And Taylor in on Caldwell. Wow.
Taylor grabs a single leg and just dumps him to his rear.
Nobody else can do that to Tyler Caldwell.
So I'm going to tell you, fellas, that this is probably going to be one of the two most special wins, I think, of Coach Cale Sanderson's coaching career.
Big.
David Taylor was the first kid to one of the first kids to recruit to Cale, and had a really special bond, the two of them, a long time ago. The other one was Jake Varner.
Jake the Snake.
Yep, Jake was
California.
And Cale were close from the time that Jake was in high school. And so this
very brilliant strategic move by Iowa Luber and Penn State to lure Cale to Penn State. When Gable was in Iowa, he kept all the greats from Iowa in Iowa, and then he would go to Illinois, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and he cherry-picked the best of the best. And that's exactly what Cale does now. He keeps all the greats. Pennsylvania has 67 kids in the tournament this year.
Wow.
All the greats are staying in Pennsylvania, and now Cale has his way with the best from New York, the best from New Jersey, the best from Ohio, the best from Illinois. And that's a recipe for a dynasty.
I'm going to show you a picture. Don't look at the old ugly guy on the right, but my wife saw this picture of David Taylor at the Big Ten. She thought it was Cale Sanderson.
It looks a little bit like him.
She says, Cale, look, why is he wearing that hat? They actually look a lot. I think they've been running around each other.
He reminds me of is Tom Brady. He's the champion. Yeah. He's good looking. Yeah. All the girls swoon. And he doesn't even have a cauliflower ear, which really pisses me off.
He doesn't, man. He has no, like the Polson twins, Trent and Travis. They don't have cauliflower ears either.
He's got the Midas touch like Tom Brady.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he does. That's for sure.
And he's got a heck of a ride because he just picked up a minute and 6 seconds of riding time.
Taylor's tough on top. He's trying to turn Caldwell, obviously, and Caldwell, I'm sure, has tried to figure out, but Got some other interesting people
Hey,
on that
there's a
phone
nice
too.
looking guy. What can
We
I
had some
say?
fun, didn't we, up in Madison?
We did. All right, so Taylor just pretty much contended with riding here.
Yes, sir.
About
Got cross-body ride. Trying to get the guillotine here if he can. But
35 seconds left in this first period.
Caldwell's going to, the interesting thing, even though Taylor's been in the driver's seat, if Caldwell could keep this thing within striking distance, then be good for him. But Taylor's just so tough on top. Look at this. Caldwell goes back to the front, goes back, gets down.
He doesn't have the prototypical body face. He doesn't have the look of, a wrestler that's a multiple national champion and truly already clearly an Olympic hopeful.
Yeah, he doesn't have a tough guy look, really. He's just.
No, and Ed Ruth is of that same capacity. Ed's kind of long and lean and just doesn't look like your typical prototypical wrestler. And I just think it's funny that the two of them with
same place,
same kind of place,
That
same
kid
kind of talent.
Dean is like, if you were to do central casting for a wrestler's body, that kid Dean from Cornell's got he's Exhibit A.
And just a freshman. Look at Taylor trying to get out here. Caldwell's going to try to get rid of some riding time, I would think, but I don't know how important. I don't know what his strategy is going to be. But
yeah, there's a whole lot of guys like Pierce Harger and Sulzer and Monk and Moreno that are all saying, wow, we're glad we're juniors because we're going to have a year to go at it without David Taylor in our weight class.
And Caldwell, too. Isn't he a senior as well?
Caldwell's a senior as well, yes.
Two seniors going at it here. And the featured bout, really, it's the featured bout. So 3-0.
He's going into grad school. Apparently there's no room for him on that program under Cale Sanderson. He takes his 1 year of eligibility to Arizona State.
Amazing.
And he comes back in his last year of eligibility to meet an undefeated David Taylor in the finals for the championship. And he cradles him and he buries him. And that ended his.
Amazing.
I mean, a lot of people thought going into the tournament, the buzz was like, this is the second coming of Cale.
Yeah, exactly.
This kid could run the table all 4 years. That's how good he is.
Yeah.
And when Bubba Jenkins buried him, and Arizona State had two champions that year, that was pretty. I think Bubba Jenkins had a lot of motivation there when he thought, like, look, I've got Taylor, I don't need you.
Absolutely.
And I thought
Payback
he was highly,
Payback incorporated.
Better when served cold.
Yeah,
revenge.
that match was very reminiscent of Darian Caldwell and Brett Metcalf from the standpoint that the wrestler focused all season on one guy, scoped it out, understood.
It's like Larry Owings and Dan Gable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Setting them up. If you can't be the giant, you'll be just as famous for being the giant slayer. So gain your fame that way if you want to, and they did, both of them. So
they're going to restart back at the center of the mat with 21 seconds.
Taylor's been riding tough on Caldwell. Really has been.
Taylor 5-0, and he's got 2 minutes and 30 seconds of riding time.
I brought it up to Bertolino. He remembered today when I went out to eat. He said, "Steve, I do remember something about you, buddy. You said David Taylor will win he'll win 2 national titles before he's done." I thought he's too skinny at the time, but I have to admit, he's impressed me. He's done a lot better than I thought he would. I knew he was a stud. I knew he was great, but I thought he'd lose 8 or 10, half a dozen matches, which he hasn't. But the only thing I did get right tonight, if he wins, then he wins 2 titles. Now, Bertolino teased me, and he said, well, if he loses tonight, then you're wrong.
Yeah. Well, what I think is interesting about this match, and certainly taking nothing away from Tyler Caldwell, an outstanding wrestler in his own right.
Oh, he's very accomplished.
And one of the few wrestlers to keep matches fairly close with David Taylor. But Taylor's so explosive that I really expected to see a bit more of that explosiveness. But I think maybe it's... I just need to go out and win this one and not do anything.
It's due to his opponent.
No pressure on Taylor right now.
Yeah.
And it's due to his point. It's due to his opponent. Caldwell's good at this kind of stuff. He's one of the few guys that's kept a couple matches here with Taylor as a regular decision.
And I think Taylor's upside is formidable. I mean, who knows where this guy's going to be, what he's going to be doing in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll see him in Rio, but they may time out perfectly for 2020.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Dake will be in there, Burrows, and I don't know if Howell drops or not, but Andrew Howell might drop down.
All right, so 1 minute left in the match. 5-0 in favor of Taylor.
All-American weight classes. will be giving special NCAA Division I wrestling.
Okay, here we go, guys. 5-0, 50 seconds going third period. Tyler Caldwell is yet to take a shot that I'm
beat by, if I got major decision or tech fault if I was trying.
right, exactly. Oh yeah, I mean,
And not to say he's not trying, but he's not.
I mean, he should at least take a shot, Caldwell should. 4 seconds.
Taking off his headgear. It's 4 seconds left.
4
You thought it was all done.
He took his headgear off.
Maybe that proves our point, right there.
He's not paying attention. He's not in it.
Yeah, just get her over
4
with.
seconds. He puts his headgear over in the corner, so could be a big win. Maybe this is all strategy. Watch him grab Taylor and throw him to his back. I had that plan the whole time, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
I knew that headgear stuff would.
Okay, that's a great
Nah, that's not going to happen.
All right, David Taylor, your winner at 165 pounds. Alrighty.
Wins his second title, 4-time finalist. David Taylor and Penn State, you guys, is your NCAA Division I team title winner.
That's right.
The Nittany Lions.
105.5 to Minnesota's 104. Oklahoma State in third. Iowa a distant fourth. Edinburgh in fifth place. Really nice
How
showing.
many points does Penn State pick up just now?
4 points.
4. So 10. Yeah, well there it is. 109.5.
Yep. Ohio State a really nice tournament as well with 57 points. Cornell in 7th. Virginia Tech in 8th. Northwestern gets up on the big board into 9th place now after Xerxes' big win. And Oklahoma rounds out the top 10 at 45 points.
Great tournament. I'm looking forward to getting my voice back, and told my wife get the dogs that bark outside, because when I come home to the ranch, I'm sleeping. I'll see you Tuesday. But it's been great. I love this. This is fantastic. It's my 25th. 16 with Takedown, 9 before, so simple math. And I wish I had another 25 I could say that I went to, but I didn't. But I don't plan on missing the next 25 if it's possible. It's fun. And our lack of voices prove we're having a good time, right, Billy?
Yeah. I got a 7 a.m. flight back to the West Coast tomorrow. I'm going home to cancel that, right? I'm going to my hotel room to cancel that flight. I'm going to sleep until noon tomorrow.
Smart man.
Absolutely.
Smart man.
Been a lot of action.
All right, so one of the finest tournaments that we've seen in a long, long time.
I would agree with that. That was what really, I've been here the last many years, since the 70s, but probably the last 15 years in a row, and this is, every year is great, but there was something special with the competition and the upsets and the team the going down to the wire with the team championship.
Yep.
I think this set this year apart. It's one of the best years I've seen in the last 15, 20 years.
Absolutely.
It's a good one. Every year has great individual performances, but this one, as far as the team race, along with the individual performances, is real special.
And I think that, and we saw a lot of outstanding young wrestlers that are going to be back next year.
Who gets the upside here of the kids that are coming back? Who's the breakout star? They would call it in my business, who's the breakout star?
Well, as far as the stars coming up,
doesn't even have to be a champion. It could be,
Gabe Dean impresses me. I like watching him wrestle.
I think Cox from Missouri, I think he's got a real bright future.
Yeah, right.
He's so explosive. Xerxes, I think Xerxes, we're going to see him around for a long time as well.
Real Budo. I like to see what happens with his knee with Real Budo.
But Cornell, you just have to watch out for Cornell.
Yeah, they're solid.
Because they're going to come into the start
Delgado
of the
will be going for his third next year, but that's not a young man. He's going to be going for his third. Delgado from Illinois.
Yeah, but based upon returning points, I think Cornell will be in the top 3 teams in the country next year to start the season.
Yeah, I think so. Minnesota empties out.
I don't know how Penn State has been reloading with recruiting over the last couple of years. I can only imagine that their recruiting season has always got to be one of the top 3 or 5 every year, because everybody wants to wrestle for the champs and they want to wrestle for Cal.
Yep.
So I'm sure that he's reloaded, but it's going to be interesting to see if Cornell has the depth to have enough guys to go deep enough in this tournament to truly challenge Penn State.
Taylor, Ohio State's got some good kids coming. Taylor and Ruth, though, those are big losses for your team. Yep. David Taylor and Ed Ruth, they just not only get points, but they get bonus points, and they made the difference here. Really, actually, what do you think of? You go back and add up their points, but it takes a team. Everybody's important. Rutherford.
Always.
And all of them. Morgan McIntosh. I mean, we could name the whole team, obviously. Megalunas. Wow, what a great little guy from Penn State.
All right. So, gentlemen, you know what? I think we ought to wrap this thing up, because we've probably all got places to see and do and people to congratulate.
I would say it would be a couple of cold beers and then bed, but it might just be straight to bed.
Got to rest that voice.
Hey, congratulations, guys. It was fun once again.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Billy Baldwin. Thanks for
Pleasure is all mine.
everything
Great.
from the throat lozenges to everything you helped me with this year. Good job, buddy. Go recover, and
Beautiful.
our voices will come back, I'm sure.
I'll see you at the next one.
Thank you, sir.
Very good. So for the Mat.com and Takedown Media, this is Jeff Murphy along with Billy Baldwin and Steve Foster saying good night from the 2014 NCAA Division I Wrestling Championships. We look forward to speaking to a lot of you next Saturday on the air on KXNO Radio out of Des Moines, Iowa, and iHeartRadio around the world.
Probably have most all the champs on interviewing them.
And Takedown, yeah, you don't want to miss that because we will.
Normally we do. We get them all mostly.
Yep,
Yeah,
and
so.
takedownwrestling.com. And so we'll see you all up and down the road. Take care.